It's been a crazy news weekend, man. There's been like so many different stories. I'm just sitting here looking at everything. We got Trump's tax returns. Project Veritas released this evidence of voter fraud, and they've got more coming. James O'Keefe tweeted about this. And then we have riots still happening at the same time. I hope you guys are all ready for like 15 October surprises, because the New York Times is basically rewritten this story about Trump's taxes. Now there's a story coming out claiming, once again, Trump's a racist. All these stories are popping up about all of the nasty things Trump said about various races. I just don't believe any of it, because the media does nothing but complain about Trump. But we have one story that I think, outside of all of the political insanity, is really interesting. It's the Louisville cop charged with wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor case. He's pleading not guilty as judge orders him not to have any firearms, despite attorney arguing he may need to protect himself. And the funny thing is, and I don't mean funny, haha, I mean like strange, is that we literally just had a dude in Louisville fire a bunch of bullets at cops, and he also only got charged with wanton endangerment. So we're gonna open up with that. Tonight we are hanging out. We got Ian, of course.
Hi.
Ian's chilling. That was Ian. We got Cassandra.
Hey.
Cassandra's chilling, and Lydia's hanging out. We still have to set up Lydia's microphone, though, but we're making progress. We're making progress out here in the middle of nowhere, and it's good fun. So make sure you hit that, smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., but we're just going to chill and hang out and take it easy and talk about, a cop potentially getting murdered, I guess. Yeah. You're laughing.
It's so ridiculous. Let's just take it easy and talk about the chaos.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, the riots went, we had riots across the country last night. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, I'm talking about voter fraud because of James O'Keefe and that huge release he did. And then I was like, it's like the first morning in 5 months I haven't said, well, there was a riot today, because I couldn't, the New York Times and James O'Keefe dropped these big stories like last night. So that's literally what comes up. But let's do this. Let me give you some context, and we'll start with this story about the Louisville cop. So from the Daily Mail, Louisville cop charged with wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor case pleads not guilty as judge orders him not to have any firearms, despite attorney arguing he may need to protect himself. Brett Hankeson pleaded not guilty to endangering Breonna Taylor's neighbors by firing bullets into their home during the March 13th drug raid. Hankeson was fired from Louisville Metro Police in June. During the raid, Breonna Taylor, 26, was shot dead as she stood next to her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, in the hallway of her home. 3 cops fired 32 shots, six of which struck Taylor. Only 1 shot was fatal. Hankeson, is it Hankeson? Yeah, they spelled it wrong. Hankeson's charges stem from firing into a neighboring apartment. 2 other cops present have not been charged. They probably won't. But here's what I want to show you this story from the New York Times. This is, I've got to be careful what I show here. Video shows gunmen firing at police during Louisville protest. One man among hundreds of peaceful protesters, fired a handgun at police officers in Louisville, Kentucky. Witnesses caught him on camera. When a gunman fired at the police during a protest in Louisville on Wednesday night, the shooting was captured on camera by live streamers, protesters, local reporters, and New York Times journalists who were filming just yards away. They're going to mention 2 cops got shot. They're going to explain everything, but this dude, I don't know if they have it right in the beginning, he was charged with wanton endangerment. So consider these 2 circumstances, and we have ongoing riots, and so we'll just, I don't know, what do you guys think? Should this cop have his gun taken away? I give it to you, panel.
I think that it's insane for him not to have his gun. I think he'll be in extreme danger. And if anything happens to him, his family should sue the crap out of the city. If you go on social media, there's millions of threats. I'm being a little exaggerating, but there's threats against this guy constantly. People are calling for his head. I mean, he's been doxxed. They have his address. You can find all of his information on Twitter, all his relatives' information. Why shouldn't he be able to protect himself? I mean, these people are shooting at cops.
Should he plead not guilty?
Of course. I think so. I don't think that he should plead guilty.
I mean, I don't know if the state has no contest. Do you guys know what no contest is?
Yeah.
It's like, are you familiar?
Not
Basically,
really.
It means like you're kind of pleading guilty, but without admitting fault. So like you're not going to fight against it. And so I guess you have these 2 cases. The craziest thing to me about this is it wanton endangerment if someone shoots, like if you're standing there and someone shoots a guy next to you and hits him in the femoral artery, like that could kill you. And then you panic and start shooting. Is it wanton endangerment because you missed? Versus this other guy in Louisville who was at a protest against police and started firing wildly at police and then shot 2 police. You know what I mean?
That seems much more intentional than the first one. The first one seems careless and sloppy. The second one seems intentional and kind of vindictive. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels really obvious and like pointless to even talk about.
Can you define wanton endangerment?
Yeah, we should look it up.
Yeah, why don't Google it?
Let me pull it up.
I mean, it's kind of obvious, right?
I think it's like reckless disregard for human life. So if you're acting in a way that you're not taking into account that you could kill someone, then that would be wanton endangerment.
So was the guy who was at the protest against police who ended up shooting cops trying? Are they arguing his intention wasn't to kill people?
That's what it seems like, and it's insane to me.
What is wanton endangerment? Whoa, that's weird.
I don't know. We're good.
A Kentucky grand jury indicted one officer on wanton endangerment charges in the Breonna Taylor case. The grand jury announced Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. We know all this. The word wanton, are you serious? They're just pulling up a dictionary definition. It means merciless and inhumane, being without check or limitation. Wanton endangerment is in the first degree is a Class D felony. If convicted, each charge holds a possible sentence of up to 5 years. Taylor, an emergency medical worker, this we know. So what is wanton endangerment? Is that it?
A little bit. There's a legal definition.
Where is it?
According to Kentucky law.
Where?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
A person is guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he wantonly engages in conduct which creates a substantial danger of death or serious physical injury to another person. Okay, here's why I want to show these 2 stories, because they both happened in Louisville.
Yeah.
The guy at the protest where they're yelling, like they literally spray paint, kill cops. Then he pulls out his gun and he's like, bang, 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 I think like 14 times, hitting 2 of them. And they're like, that's wanton endangerment. Versus a cop who was told, like, here's a warrant, go to this person's house. If they don't answer the door, you can break the door down. They open the door, they break the door down. Other cop gets shot, hitting the femoral artery. And then he starts firing back. And they're like, you missed. So you're the same as the guy who was, shooting at police.
Right.
I think the dude that was shooting at the cops is way more guilty of wantonly doing it.
Well,
like
that's
mercilessly.
right.
If lack of mercy, like I don't think the cop that was firing at Breonna Taylor's boyfriend was doing it out of a lack of mercy. He was just in a craze because his buddy was bleeding out,
Right.
and afraid for his life.
Yeah.
So what do you think happens when this guy gets, I mean, it just feels so obvious and pointless to even mention. Like, okay, so this guy's going to get found not guilty. He pleads not guilty. He'll be found not guilty. And then what, more riots?
Probably.
Yep. And then I'll wake up in the morning and it'll be like another day, another riot, I suppose.
I mean, could you charge him for something, for firing indiscriminately into multiple apartments?
But I mean, is that just because he's bad at shooting?
I don't know.
I
Because
think
he was panic.
In the moment, though, even if you're the best shooter in the world, when somebody's shooting at your cop partner or whatever, your teammate, you kind of go into a fog. I mean, I don't think that he was like deliberately like, I'm gonna just shoot, bang bang. I think he was, it was a stressful situation. These moments are really tense. I don't think you know how you're gonna react or how well you'll shoot or anything like that. I don't understand how that could really be his fault. It's, if anything, it seems like an accident, whereas somebody shooting at cops is trying to do murder.
But then maybe we should take his gun away.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If he was panicking and
Yeah.
firing his gun,
Yeah.
then maybe.
I did an interview with an NYPD detective once, and he said that there were many circumstances where his life was in danger, but he did not draw his gun because he was worried that would just escalate the conflict, and it would result in, it would just jump straight to the physical confrontation if he went for his weapon. So he just tried to, talk the person down, and he said he's still alive. It worked, right?
But here's the problem, though. This cop has been doxxed everywhere, right? They know where his family lives. He's gotten threats online. You can pull up Twitter, pull up his name. You're going to see a million like, this guy should be dead. If they've already publicized that he's not going to have a weapon, that makes him a sitting duck.
That was my other question. Why on earth would you publicize the fact that this man's not going to have a gun? That's insane to me. That's like a murder sentence. That's like a death sentence.
Yeah.
Seriously.
If they were going to do it quietly and take his gun away quietly and keep it out of the media and leave it, up for interpretation, maybe this guy's armed, maybe he's not, that would at least give him a degree of protection. By publicizing it, he's screwed.
Yeah.
I think if we look at the letter of the Constitution, there's nothing barring anyone ever from having a gun,
yeah,
right?
why should he not have a gun? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, because he panicked. So the point of the story I was telling with the NYPD detective was, he told me there's nothing more dangerous than a scared person holding a gun. There's clearly things more dangerous than a scared person holding a gun, but I get his point. Like, if people don't know how to handle themselves in stressful situations, they're not trained properly. We saw it in New York where the cops were firing, trying to hit the suspect, and they hit like 7 innocent bystanders.
Whoa.
Yeah, something like that. It was crazy. And so there's a question of, okay, if that happens, maybe that person should like lose their gun privileges. You know, so this guy, he goes in, he was told to go in, he was doing his job. It was a really awful, tragic situation. And he started firing. He's a bad shot.
Well,
he missed.
But wasn't it the case that the bullets went through the wall into the other apartment?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
So that's a little different too, because it looks like he's shooting where he's not going to hit anyone. And then if it goes through the wall, that's...
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was what happened.
I'll just tell you this, man. It's really, it's been really crazy. Like, I hate Twitter. I'm seeing people tweet about this and like all the other breaking news. And it's like people are all like, for the most part, low information belligerents in the culture war. They don't read about this. They don't question the intent. They don't question the charges. They're just like, you know, lock him up and throw away the keys of murder. And other people are like, he's innocent. Nothing, you know, it's like, well, hold on. Have any of you like just read? You can't even talk to people about it.
Well, maybe if he shot through the walls, he wasn't panicking then. He was just missing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but the other cops apparently did testify that they were telling him to like calm down. Like he was agitated, freaking out.
Is he the guy that hit her?
No.
Okay.
Apparently he just like fired several times and like, I don't know, something out of a cartoon, like panicking, you know, panicky, blindly firing. But so anyway, look, I don't think we know the answers, but I think it's very obvious that we're all gonna. Okay, let me put it this way. Sometimes it's really boring to talk about this stuff because it's like, I agree too. I agree with you, agreeing with him. It's like, we get it. We know what the answer is going to be. Okay, does this guy, should he have his weapon taken away? I guess not, because people want to kill him. Is he guilty of this crime? I don't know, because he was responding to a threat. It's very different from the guy in Louisville. And then you just have like, I don't know, no room for, I think the bigger issue that I see is just social media in general and the conversation around all of this and what results and why he loses his gun, right? These cops are only getting charged because of social media. And you'll get these leftists saying things like, it's a good thing the activists stood up. And it's like a bunch of people march into the police department with pitchforks and torches and smashing windows. And they go, okay, fine. I don't think that's justice.
It's mob rule.
Yeah, it's mob rule. I guess the other problem is what happens when there is no justice and no one does anything about it. And then cops end up doing bad things, or anyone does something bad and gets away with it.
Well, I was tweeting about this the other day, actually, and people got really mad at me. But one day there's going to be a case that's so egregious, and it really is a lack of justice, and nobody's going to listen to Black Lives Matter anymore because they've cried wolf so many times.
But it's maybe, and I say maybe because they seem to riot for like the worst possible people.
Right.
Did you guys see the update on the Jacob Blake story?
No.
The one about him being
Kidnapping.
kidnapped?
Yeah. I didn't.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize this when I was first reading the story, and it kind of went over my head, and I was surprised. We knew he stole this woman's keys. We were told there were kids in the car. That wasn't his car. So whose kids were that? Whose kids were that? I guess, I don't know if he had kids with the lady. So if they maybe were both of their kids or whatever, that's still kidnapping. Mm-hmm. And so then the lawyer came out and said, the woman yelled, he's got my keys, he's got my kids. And the cop was like, what do I do? Dude's holding a knife. Think about like this dude, Jacob Blake, and how awful he is. He pinned this woman down, allegedly, according to the you know, why they wanted to arrest him. And he abused her, you know, against her will. I'm trying to keep the language family friendly. And then he left. She files a police report. He gets a felony warrant. He shows back up. She panics. She calls 911. He steals her keys. Her kids are in the car, and he tries taking off with it after fighting cops. And then you get all the NFL players putting Jacob Blake on their helmets, and they're like...
Can you imagine being her?
Yes.
Well, didn't her mom tweet stuff about it? Like,
yeah, and they suspended her account. I think it was her aunt. Maybe I could be wrong, but yeah, they suspended her account because she was like, "What are you guys doing? You're glamorizing this guy who victimized my niece."
Yep. Yeah. That's mob rule. Yeah, you have this look on your face.
He's a dirtbag.
Yes, he is. He sure is.
You're like, what?
Like
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And then think about they're painting his name in the street. The players are putting his name on their helmets.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
So when this first went down, somebody was pointing out to me how bad I should feel about Jacob Blake because his kids were in the car watching him get gunned down. And now I'm like, okay, so that didn't happen. What else have we not been
No,
told?
I think they're his kids. I guess because they reported that it was his kids. Maybe they had kids together. You know, maybe it was like an ex or something and he was harassing and abusing her, which is even worse because now it's like a domestic ongoing abuse circumstance. Now you've got this guy's literally a domestic abuser. And then you see people dancing in the street, screaming his name, wearing shirts with his name on it, spray painting his name on the ground, cheering for him. What did he get, like $2 million?
Yeah.
I love it.
And on top of all of this, like the alleged abuse from the initial incident between Jacob Blake and the woman, that happened in her bed while her child was there.
Wow.
So she said that her child was in the bed when he abused her. And then everybody's like, Father of the Year. And I'm like, nah.
The kid was in the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were sleeping.
Man.
6-year-old, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what's that subreddit? Noah, get the boat? Is that what it is?
That sounds right.
I don't know.
It's like a reference to like just wipe out humanity, just like flood,
Yeah, it's like,
you
we're
know,
done
get the
here.
boat. We're out of here. It's
Time
over.
for another flood.
This is, you know, there was somebody who tweeted earlier today about Trump, and I don't want to drag them, but they said something like, you know, Trump could do something really offensive and his supporters would find a way to be like, woo, and cheer for it. And then my response was Trump could do something seeming like innocuous and then the left would find a way to, you know, so I basically said Trump could overpay his taxes by millions and they would
Right.
find a way to claim he paid no taxes. And then all of these people were like, oh, here he comes defending Trump. And I'm like, no, I'm making the same point, making the exact same point he was making, that you guys sit here pointing the finger at the right saying all of those people are bad. And then I do the inverse. All those people are bad. And you all freak out in the exact same way you claim other people freak out, proving my point. So if politics is now based on whatever group is angriest, what's the next thing that's going to happen? We're going to arrest like some little old lady baking a cake because she used like chocolate icing on a vanilla cake, and then everyone freaks out and they're like, you can't do that. Ah! And then if everything is just based on how angry the group gets and we start prosecuting and arresting people or cheering for criminals, could you imagine a justice system built upon like mob emotion? That's yeah, I guess so.
That's kind of
Seen
what
it.
we're seeing.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So I see the social media thing, and then I see them handing out sentences that people don't deserve and painting criminals' names on their helmets. To me, that's like a perfect storm.
Yeah,
And Jake Gardner was the perfect case of it. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
there were no charges against him. The DA said it was self-defense. And then they start protesting at the DA's house and causing, you know, chaos in the streets, and they get their way, and now he's dead.
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with the story, Jake Gardner was defending his bar, or was defending his father. There were rioters tearing up Omaha. He came out. He warned them. He had a gun. They attacked him anyway. He fired warning shots. They fled. This other dude jumped on his back, put him in a chokehold. 18 seconds he was being choked out, and then he fired over his shoulder, killing the dude. And then they tried charging him, only because the community came together and demanded justice. And then the dude killed himself, because that's not justice. They took his business, they took his home, all his friends, and then they were going to take his freedom. And that's where we're at right now. And I have to wonder at what point conservatives are going to start being like, all right, defund the police.
I've seen it. I see it in my mentions every day on Twitter.
Just saying, do it.
Yeah.
Especially the more libertarian leaning ones. Like, especially when you guys saw that woman wasn't wearing a mask in Ohio. She got tased and arrested.
No.
I heard she had asthma. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that part.
I heard that, so that's basically the gist of the story. She's like sitting in the bleachers with her family, they're social distancing, and this cop comes and tries arresting her, and she's like, get off me. And then she gets tased. I read somewhere that she had asthma. I don't know if that's true, but why, it would make sense. Person has a medical condition, gets tased. And then I got really angry because they all started arresting worshipers, which I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have seen this one.
No.
Yeah.
They were singing in a parking lot. Where was this? Like in Utah or something? I don't remember where it was. Idaho or Iowa? I don't know. Cops came and arrested people for singing in a parking lot without masks on. So, you take that and you take the stories of these DAs arresting or not arresting, but like prosecuting like a dude defending his business. And then someone like Jacob Blake, was he arrested and charged?
They issued the warrant on Friday, and he killed himself on Sunday.
No. Jacob Blake.
Oh, Jacob Blake.
Yeah, what's
they
up with this
dropped
felony?
the charges against him.
No.
Didn't they?
Can
I
you look that
thought
up?
they
We're gonna
did.
look, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I know that they at
That's
least
crazy.
put him on hold while he was in the hospital. I don't know if it got
Dude.
dropped fully or what, but I remember reading it and being like, I'm turning off the internet. I'm done. Like,
Man, is it time to just like build a fortress and retire and then like build?
No, you can't hide from this stuff.
Come on,
We
man.
tried. The
well,
United States tried to be isolationist in the past, and Hitler rose to power. You can't be isolationist about
but
this.
I know. But like, what if we built like I don't know, just like a bunch of auto defense turrets? Like,
Well,
you know,
yeah, we should do that. But
anybody comes near,
don't hide. Keep going out there while the auto defense turrets are holding the base.
I don't know how you fight back against this. You know, when I saw those worshipers get arrested, you know, the first thing I thought was what I realized, because they're not going to do anything about it. They're not. They're going to complain and go, oh, harumph, you're arresting me. And it's messed up and they shouldn't be arrested. There's not going to be a riot. No one's going to smash a window. No one's going to go out. So they bend the knee to the extremists because they're like, please don't smash my windows. But the worshipers, I'll lock them up.
it's like in Milwaukee, the guy who was sitting inside his house with the shotgun defending himself.
Yeah,
Like,
he gets arrested.
he's the one arrested. They were out there for hours screaming threats at him in Bullhorn, and he's the one who got arrested. It's because the people who are on the right and who aren't the rioters, they know that these people are going to comply. They're not going to cause a scene. They're going to do what they're told. And so it's easier to arrest them than it is to arrest the
Exactly.
people that are rioting.
Exactly.
It's messed
I
up.
warned that would happen too. And now it's just getting worse every day. Now it's the cops who are going to jail. And it's the criminals who are getting cheered and millions of dollars and NFL's praising them. Think about how crazy like things have gotten. I don't know if you guys watch It's Always Sunny. You guys ever watch It's Always Sunny?
A couple times.
You ever see the one where they dress up like cops and then go around just like shaking people down? It's really funny.
Sounds like them.
They go to like there's like there's like a hot dog stand and he's like, hey, for you guys, here's some hot dogs. And they're like, yeah. They keep coming back and demanding more. And then Dennis is like, you trying to jam me up? You trying to give me the hot, you know, it's really funny. But I bring that up because it's like as cops, they get a free hot dog. People are nice to them. That's not the way things go anymore. Now it's like the cop goes into Starbucks and they get the stink eye and everyone hates them. But you know what this does? I have to wonder if it's kind of on purpose because then it makes cops angry and short. Because now they're going to be like, I don't care. You don't care about me. I don't care. Whatever. Now they go out and there's some person who has no idea what's going on, you know, doping about, like minding no business. They jaywalk and the cop's like, I've had it. Grabs them and says, shut your mouth, and gives them a ticket. And they're like, why was that cop so mean to me? Then they go and they find this group of people who are like, the cops are bad, aren't they? And they go, yeah, what's up with that? So they're like driving this hate and this anger. The cops get angry and then it just makes everyone angry. And then it gives the left the justification when cops act a fool. Like, there was a video in Seattle, I think it was Seattle, where the cop was walking his bike and he rides it over some dude's head.
Jeez.
I admittedly laughed too hard at that video. I watched it like 20 times.
I can have a sense of humor about things, but think about it. Like this dude was just doing some hippy dippy lay down.
Right.
The cop could have just picked him up and then, you know, cuffed him and walked him away. If you've got cops who can't keep their temper, I get why he's mad. But that video is going to go viral and it's going to be used as perfect propaganda. It's going to go viral on Facebook. It's going to make somebody a ton of money. And then it's going to make people hate cops even more. It's crazy to me that cop did that and nothing happened. No charges, no complaints. Like,
I mean, you got to remember that these riot cops are taking like extreme amounts of abuse too, though.
For sure.
Some of them are
Oh, I get
bound to be like, screw you people, you know?
but shouldn't, so I'll tell you what, if you have a bunch of protesters that are acting peacefully and one of the protesters starts freaking out, starts, you know, swinging at people, shouldn't the protesters stop him? Like there was that one video where the guy was hammering at the ground and they grabbed him and threw him to the cops. And
I didn't see that one. That's cool.
I think it was right. Exactly. So if there's one cop who's like sees a guy lying on the ground and then runs his bike over his head, shouldn't the other cops grab that cop and at least relieve him of duty for the night?
Yeah.
Because imagine, you remember Scott Olson
The
in
chalk
Oakland?
guy?
What was it?
The guy with the chalk?
No, this was the guy who got shot in the head with a tear
Oh,
gas
right,
canister
yeah.
in Oakland.
Yeah.
This was back during Occupy. This dude's just standing there. He's really just standing there, like his eyes half closed almost. And then all of a sudden he gets hit in the head by some kind of less lethal and just like drops to the ground. Then when people tried running to grab him, you see a cop actually chuck a flashbang at him. And then it goes boom, and then everyone like jumps away. And that made all of the protests bigger and last longer. So I'm saying if you see a cop who's like, I'm really angry, so I'm going to ride my bike over this guy's head, the other cop should be like, dude, don't mess it up for the rest of us. At the very least, take him and tell him to go home.
Yeah, it
because
could have been an accident too, though.
no,
Could have been.
He went right for him.
know.
That's a thing. Like somebody posted this really annoying meme where he's like, if you're anti-Antifa, that means you're pro-fascist. And so my response was like, if there are a bunch of people who are like anti-Islamic and they're like, they're violent, so I complain about them, does that make me like Islamic or pro-Islam? And they were like, it makes you pro-Islam. I was like, does it really? Like, because I don't think that's true. And I said, what about Christianity? What if there's like people who are going around, attacking Christians? If I say that's bad, don't do that. But I also think we shouldn't have religion in government. Does that make me pro-Christian?
No, it makes you pro-equality, pro-human rights. Plus, being anti-fascist doesn't mean that you're against fascism. You can call yourself anti-violence and beat the hell out of people.
Well, so here's what he said. I mentioned like smashing up businesses and stuff. I was like, okay, tell me this. What should I do if people claim they're anti-fascist and they're white and they go around smashing up the black community?
Acknowledge that they're fascist.
No, well,
at least violent.
it's not fascist. It's authoritarian.
Right.
But his response was, then you need to learn to empathize with why people would feel the need to do that.
That's true, too.
No. You
have to do multiple things in that situation.
No. A bunch of white, upper-class, suburbanite progressives going to Atlanta and smashing up black businesses. There's no empathizing with that.
You have to empathize, because if you just keep killing the people that act like that, people will never stop acting like that. You have to figure out why and address the root cause as well as cancel the people like...
I get it, bro, but it's because they believe stupid things.
For the most part,
and so
I think so, yeah.
You don't have to empathize. You can understand, and you can try and be like, hey, that's dumb. Stop doing that. But so if I bring this up because it's like, I totally get the cops are under duress. They're being attacked. They got bricks. Dude, they threw a Molotov at that line of...
huge Molotov.
And that's not just going to kill you. If you survive, you're maimed for life. Like horrific maiming. Like people don't realize you have pores in your skin to keep from the moisture escaping. When you get scar tissue, it dries out really fast because your body's the pores aren't putting getting the oil out or whatever. I'm not a biologist, something like that. And so when you get burned, you're constantly skin's cracking. You have to wear gloves or something to cover it. Throwing a Molotov at someone, it arguably worse or scarier than just even shooting at them. Because when someone starts shooting, you can get down. You get shot, you can get surgery, you can get fixed up. You get your skin seared off. That's crazy. I'm not going to empathize with a cop who's, super angry and freaking out and then attack somebody. I'm not going to empathize with a protester or any of the protesters who don't stop the extremists from committing acts of violence. But I'll tell you the main difference. When Antifa goes out and they're throwing explosives, the rest of the protesters are like, burp, burp, burp. They respect the diversity of tactics, and they just stand there. At least the cops can get in trouble, right? There's no circumstance, in my opinion, for the most part, where the protesters are going to be like, we better have a council, meeting about, that John Doe Antifa guy who was throwing explosives. Never going to happen. But if you get a cop who does something bad, there is still a possibility, even if it is not nearly, likely enough, the cop's going to get in trouble, or that some other person's like, think about with Breonna Taylor. You had one of the cops testify. The dude, Hankerson, was like stressed, and he was like, dude, you got to chill. That kind of hearing will never happen with Antifa.
Right.
They don't talk to cops. They run away, and there's no accountability for any of them. So basically, I look at the two groups. I see one as particularly more dangerous, unaccountable lunatics running around smashing things. So I get why the police are trying to stop them. But if the cops go out and one cop gets really angry and then pushes a journalist to the ground and she hits her face on the ground, boom, congratulations, you just made 10 more protesters. It's going to make everything worse. So I get it, man. Cops got a hard job, but nah, man. They're like, at a certain point, you combine things like that. You combine that with churchgoers getting arrested, getting fined. Women I wouldn't be surprised if we come to a point where you'll start seeing conservatives be like, I'm not going to defend them right now. Nah. You want to arrest a gym owner and a small business owner? Why would I defend you? And that was kind of happening earlier.
Yeah, that was happening after Milwaukee, real bad. They were like, what's going on here? Go ahead, defund the Milwaukee police.
Yeah.
Like everybody was saying that.
I do think it's hilarious that Minneapolis failed. They all, so the city councilmen, they all voted to defund the police, and then crime skyrocketed, and then they couldn't defund the police because people kept calling and complaining. Like, why aren't the police doing anything? It's like, well, maybe it's because you've been demonizing them. And that's crazy to me. Like, what happened to the era where the cop would show up to the donut shop and they'd be like, a free dozen for the department, you know? And now it's basically like a cop shows up and they're like, he's a witch, burn him, kick him out of the store.
I would be scared to order anything from like a fast food joint while in uniform. I wouldn't do it. I don't know how cops are doing it right now.
Let's talk about Brad Parscale because this kind of plays into that. Have you guys seen the video of what happened to Brad?
Yeah, I watched it.
This is the weirdest thing.
I came over.
So Brad Parscale is Trump's ex-campaign manager. And the narrative from the left is that he screwed up. Trump got really mad and fired him. When he was demoted, right? But they're like, he was like not unofficially fired. Now they're claiming he's unwell, depressed. And we have the story where they're saying his wife runs out of their house screaming that her husband, she says, I think my husband just killed himself. And she like jumps in a car. And this witness says the woman was bruised and freaking out. They call 911. Apparently the police said that when they arrived and looked through the window, they're like marksmen out there. They saw him sitting on the floor with his dog drinking a beer. And so I'm like,
in the video too, he's just like chilling with the Bud Light. Like,
yeah, right. And then they slam him to the ground. Mm-hmm. This is actually kind of it actually is kind of funny because Brad comes out and he's like just in his shorts, no shirt, drinking a beer, and he's like very slowly like, I didn't do anything. Like, what's going on? And the cop's like, just come over here, buddy. We're gonna talk. And then all of a sudden, like 5 cops start yelling, get on the ground. And they run up to him. And one guy grabs him by the waist and just body slams him. And then Brad just puts his hands up and he's like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. The funny thing is, there were a couple people tweeting like, you know, is this how we treat people? Like, is this what cops do? And the left is laughing about it. They're like, yes, this is what cops do. Like when someone gets called for a mental health issue, a bunch of cops show up with guns and they body slam them. But this story's kind of crazy because I don't know if I believe it, you know? Am I supposed to get in the middle of whatever this like domestic dispute is between him and his wife and just assume that he's like this villainous bad guy when I don't even know what happened?
Yeah.
All the tweets about it are basically saying he's a wife beating, you know, Trumper, con man, blah, blah, blah.
I feel very uncomfortable even like talking about it. I didn't even write about it for Gateway. I was like, it just seems like a personal situation.
Yeah. It also seems like we don't know what happened. Yeah. You know, cops showed up, dude got slammed to the ground, and I don't know. But man, this just goes into like what I've been feeling about social media is low information, angry people.
Yeah.
Because the left is just basically saying that, you know, he's a wife beater. End of story. Don't care. Don't need evidence. Don't need proof.
But meanwhile, Jacob Blake was a pristine human being.
Right.
It was what's the kid? They got up in the Native American Vietnam era.
Nicholas Sandmann.
Yeah, the Sandmann thing is what really turned the corner for me. When I saw that, I was infuriated at him. I thought he definitely was egging that guy on, and I almost tweeted it out. I almost went social media ham, and I just, for whatever reason, didn't. I took a breath, and then like, you know, 8 hours later, it starts to realize he's just nervous and kind of holding his ground. And
well, I don't understand why
media
anyone
just spun that so hard.
I don't understand why anyone cared about that in the first place.
I went into mom mode so hard. The second I saw it, I was like, that is a nervous little boy. How dare you people? I went crazy. I came out flying.
I thought he was like a punk kid. I was like, look at this son of a...
me.
I want to smack him. I want to beat his face. Like, who does he think he is, getting in that old veteran's face? Like, I was so mad. And then it was all news spin. It was all, of course.
My daughter does the same thing though. Like if she gets nervous, she'll like smile and she'll just like hang out.
Yep.
And so I saw him doing it and I was like, that's what Rory does. That's what kids do when they're like scared or intimidated or overwhelmed. They try and like be cool, be calm.
But it's not even that. It's like that clip was like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
In the slightly longer clip, you see him going like, you know, doing the kill it hand gesture to other people, like stop it, leave him alone. He was actually trying to chill everything out. I first saw that video out of context, the way everyone else saw it, and I didn't care. I'm like, I was like, what is this? They were like, did you, like, people were sending it to me like crazy. Did you see what this kid did? And I watch it and I'm like, so?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if he did walk up to the dude and got in his face. I don't care. Like, are you nuts? How many things I've seen in Chicago where I'm like, it's a million times worse. I've seen people just walk up to a random car and start screaming and then start like throwing rocks at it. Like a kid walking up to a dude to me is very low on my priorities.
Yeah.
Then it turned out to be fake news, and then it jumped up on my list of priorities because I'm like, why is everybody lying about this kid? This is the weirdest thing. That's it. Low information, angry people, and that's our government now. I think that's mostly the Democrats though. I think the Republicans, like Lindsey Graham, is panicking. I guess I don't know. Did you hear about like his? Have you heard anything about it? Yeah, his money troubles.
No, what is it?
Like he went on Fox apparently and was like, "I need money, donate to me, I'm getting killed."
Yeah,
because he drinks too much.
Well,
I just don't care.
Blew it all on liquor.
When RBG died, he got his opponent got $16 million in funds in like one day. So he's like, I have a problem. I should probably work on this.
It is a problem.
It's way more than his first campaign.
I'm looking forward to all of the establishment politicians, all the incumbents, just bye-bye, go away.
It's conjecture.
Except for Rand Paul. Rand Paul can
I
stay.
like Rand Paul.
Yeah, he can stay.
For sure.
I hope his dad's doing
Massey
well.
too.
Yeah, Massey can stay.
I talk about Lindsey Graham like he's an alcoholic because he's got those bloodshot eyes. I really don't know if he's an alcoholic, but he looks like he just has a drinking problem.
Fake news.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Lindsey, if you
Dude,
don't.
like Lindsey comes across to me as like, actually, what's the easiest way to explain it? He's like scared of everybody, so he won't do anything. You know, it's like the Republicans are yelling at him, like, do something. And he's like, oh, geez. Like, then looks to the
He's
left.
like the
and
shell of a man from the
he
alcohol.
just doesn't do anything.
That's
You
my.
think
I
he's
blame the alcohol because
you,
I've
like,
been
really-
through drinking binges and I like my no self-esteem afterwards. I'm like shattered.
Huh.
Takes a while to
How
recover.
did he keep winning anyway? What were we talking
Name
about before I brought him up
recognition.
anyway?
Fake
Were we-
news.
Fake
Yeah, I
news.
don't know how this
Lindsey
ties in.
Graham
Having
begging for
been-
money?
I just
His
don't
money
like I just don't like Democrats or Republicans.
Dude,
And
it's because Trump got elected and he's all emotional, so now everyone's acting emotional.
he's scared.
Yeah, he got elected and did it emotionally. He like called Hillary Clinton stupid a bunch, made everyone laugh. Just a big emotional.
Trump did,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
Trump.
yeah.
It was a big emotional circus to get elected, and now the whole country's an emotional overload.
Nah, Trump didn't make that happen.
Well, he's an actor.
For sure, but Trump is a symptom of the cultural change, not the cause of it.
Go deeper on that.
Well, the culture war and Gamergate type circumstances in this rage was building up for a long time before Trump got elected. Trump got elected partly because of that anger and because people memed him into office. It was magical. Have you guys seen the Keck documentary thing?
I just watched it the other night.
This is I wish we could just sit here and play it, like eat popcorn.
I actually felt bad for him, and I was like, "Oh no, what's wrong with me?" I'm
For who?
sympathizing with him. Fury, whatever his name is.
The Pepe guy.
Yeah. Are you talking? You're talking about like the Pepe documentary?
No.
Oh.
The meme magic. There's a video they made back in like 2016 that explains all of these really weird coincidences around Keck. You know Keck. You had the little things at the deplorable. So Keck, what is it, like an Egyptian god?
Yeah.
And he's like a frog. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And Keck is in World of Warcraft. When you would type LOL, the opposing faction would see the word Keck, K-E-K. So people started saying Keck as LOL because it was it was funny, and then it became a meme, and then it became associated with Pepe and jokes. It became associated with the right. Then it turns out that Keck, or whatever the god's name was, it's like a real thing. And people think that it's like jokingly, I guess. I'm sure some people really believe it. Like they memed Trump into office with like meme magic. It's real. You know what's funny though, is they're basically saying prayer. You know what I mean? Like they're saying collective conscious, and like all of this like energy constantly, just pushing this idea results in Trump getting elected. The bigger point is, outside of any ideas of faith or magic, is that whatever Trump is and is doing, he won because of what was the changes.
You think Gamergate started it?
I think Gamergate was the first, was the spark of the culture war.
When was that? 2014?
I think it was like 2013.
What happened exactly?
Oh man, you're gonna have to find the old gaming
I remember
historians.
hearing about it and just ignoring it because I thought it was so silly.
Good call.
Well, if you ask the likes of, I don't know, BuzzFeed or Vox or The Verge, they'll say it was when a bunch of alt-right misogynists started harassing women because they didn't like women playing video games, which is reductionist and ridiculous because there's like no substance to that argument. If you ask, if you ask Gamergate people, they'll probably say something more to the effect of, there's an incestuous relationship between advertisers, game developers, and gaming websites. And so what was happening is a gaming company is putting out a game, right? Like, Ian's Great Adventure. Let's say you make that game.
Okay.
Ian's Great Adventure. Ian Rim. It's like Skyrim, but it's you.
Very fun.
And you want to sell games. So you sponsor a gaming website. They're not going to write bad things about you because then they're going to lose the sponsorship. So you're basically paying them to publish a press release. Then they write a story and they're like, dude, Ian Quest is so amazing. And then people play it and they're like, dude, this game is terrible. And then they get mad and they're like, why was the review positive? One of their advertisers is
Oh, so it was like
company.
a scandal, and that's where the gate came from?
Right.
I see.
Yeah. And so depending on who you ask, you'll get different responses. The establishment media people who infected and infiltrated mainstream news organizations will claim it was just a bunch of angry misogynists who hate women. But that makes no sense because it's like, where did that come from? Like, what made a bunch of people angry?
It was a bunch of 4-year-olds watching porn in 2004. Now they're all adults.
No, I don't think that's it.
Because they're all like, they don't understand how to have sex with a woman, basically. They're like 20 years old and they haven't had
Are you
a
talking about the
girlfriend.
journalists?
It's just why people are crazy. Why young men are
Oh, that's
angry
true,
at
though,
women.
dude.
People in general.
Dude, for sure. I was talking to this young guy several months ago who was like 26 or something. And he was just like a virgin. Couldn't get a date. Yeah.
Oof.
And I mentioned this on like a bunch of videos before, but let me know what you think about this. Here's my basic theory. Before the age of mobile technology and like dating apps like Tinder, young women and young men were in the same place at like college. And so the dating pool for women was limited to the men in their circle. The 35-year-old dude who's got his own house and got a car and all that stuff, he's probably not going to meet this 20-year-old woman for the most part.
He's got
because
his own family too.
No, he doesn't have a family. A lot of guys aren't getting married. But the point I'm making is when you get now the dating apps enter the scene, now young women at colleges have a dating pool that has expanded outside of college to anywhere they're willing to drive to. So they expand their radius from the 1 square mile around the school where all this, other men of the same age are. They expand it to, 25 miles. All of a sudden now they're seeing older, successful guys who are like 30, 35, got a car, got a house. And so they swipe right on that guy. And then they swipe right on the 20-year-old guy as well, who's at the university. It's like, oh, cool, he goes to school with me. Then they get 2 messages. The guy at the university says, hey, do you want to go down to the cafeteria and grab a bite? Then the 35-year-old guy says, hey, you want to hop in my car and drive to the lake and then, go explore and do these fun things? I got tons of cash. Which one's you going to pick? For the most part, you've got a guy with resources and you've got a guy who's in college like her. There's probably a tendency moving towards these established guys who have cash. So then what ends up happening is these younger guys are competing with established career men, which means they're dropping off. And this data was actually published by the Washington Post that young men, I think under the age of 29, this is a couple years ago, are like 30% more likely to be a virgin at this time compared to the previous generation. Like it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's worse a little bit for women, but not for the most part. I think it's because if a woman has a choice between a broke college guy and even somebody who's only a few years older who's got a job, she's going to pick the guy with a job. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So now what do you do when you got a bunch of young men can't get dates? I don't know. They start wishing for a traditionalist 1950s housewife where there was like dowries and, marriages were arranged or something. It made it all easier. They didn't have to worry about it. Social media changed everything, made competition much, much more difficult. I wonder where that'll leave us off,
Yeah, really. I don't know, man. We need like a moral compass. We need like some sort of, I don't know if it's a man, like Jordan Peterson was great about giving young men purpose and cleaning your room and taking care of yourself first. And then women will be attracted to you if you take care of yourself.
Maybe this will result in people becoming more religious.
Yeah, or redefining religion too, because Buddhism is an interesting religion. I think like maybe there will be a new religion, a new like take care of yourself
it's called
religion.
identitarianism, and the Democrats have adopted it.
Hopefully, there's a better one than that. Like Peterson was onto something. He's a prophet. That guy's he could be canonized in the future. I think.
But what's his ideology?
Just take care
individualism,
of yourself first.
hard work.
Yeah,
it's very conservative. I mean, I'm not saying he's conservative, but
right, he's not very conservative, but he speaks conservative morals. But he's very liberal.
Yeah, young people aren't getting married anymore. They're not having kids. So what happens? Matthew Iglesias for Vox wrote this article. I think it was him, called like the case for 1 billion Americans, and then he like did an interview with Glenn Beck, and people started attacking him for it. But he made a really good point that we need more Americans. I don't know if he was making an argument for immigration or just people having more babies, but he was like, the biggest problems we have with competing with these other countries, particularly China, is that they have a massive population, more than 3 times, like almost 4 times the U.S. And so there needs to be way more Americans who hold American values and these like constitutional republic and liberal democratic values. Otherwise, you'll end up with a globe dominated by people who don't have those values, unless you want to dominate by force, I guess.
Yeah, you can either be more influential by like having the Americans have like 10,000 followers on YouTube for every Chinese guy that has like 1,000. So you've got a 10-to-1 influence ratio there, or you can have 10 times as many people. So like there's different ways to influence the globe.
But if he's making the case for more immigration, if you're just bringing people in from everywhere, then they're not going to have the same ideals necessarily.
Right. I don't know if he was specifically saying immigration, but that's why having a system like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the game, if you can call it a game, Life Genesis.
No.
You know what this is? There's a symbol, the hacker community, the hacker symbol is called the glider. And it's a reference to, I don't know if the game is called Life Genesis. I think it is. It's a simple algorithm where lights turn on and off. And it's like simulating, if the algorithm, ideals are met, then it expands and grows and like develops more life and stuff like that. And the reason I bring this up is there's a version of it that I used to have on Windows when I was a kid where it had 2 different colors. And if you have a big mass of blue dots popping into and out of existence, and you put a small handful of red into it, they just turn blue. But if you flood it with like 50% red, then they start battling and then start changing, and then one side wins and the other side's destroyed. And if you obviously have more red, or just keep firing, the red dots, the blue ones eventually evaporate. So if these people really do believe that equality and equity are good things, then they want to make sure to preserve the American system, because I don't think there's any other country on the planet, say, like outside of specifically European countries in America, outside of these specific areas, massive populations of the world that are 6 or 7 times bigger than Europe and the US do not have these values. So if these values end up getting lost due to just carelessness, I'm not saying like any one thing, like if no one cares about upholding these values, they won't exist. And that's it, they're gone.
And if they're forgotten, we were talking about that a couple nights ago with Seamus, like storing our information for the future generations. How will it be stored? And I thought maybe it will be stored in orbit. Maybe there will be a
Why orbit?
Because maybe there'll be a firestorm on the surface, and then we'll need to somehow remember, our past. Like 12,800 years ago, there's a flood, and like everything was wiped out. Atlantis was lost, all this civilization, and all the morals and teachings from that time were basically washed away.
Assuming those things were real.
Yeah, assuming that the flood was real, but it seems to be, according to Randall Carlson and other geologists.
There's like, the flood myth like exists in a bunch of different cultures. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then who was that guy on Joe Rogan who was talking about how the Sphinx is actually older?
It could have been Graham Hancock.
Was that him?
Or Randall Carlson. They worked together.
I think it was Graham Hancock. He was saying like the Sphinx is actually way older than we realize.
It could have been Robert Schoch also.
Because it shows signs of water damage.
Yeah, dude, when there was a lot of rain in North Africa.
Yeah.
Before the flood. I think that's a lot of ocean sand in Africa. Apparently, if you look at Google Maps and you zoom in on the west coast of Africa and you can see that it looks like it was a wave pushed all that sand up onto the continent.
That's where they think Atlantis is.
Yeah, on the eye of the Sahara.
Right, exactly.
The Rickard structure.
Right, exactly. I don't know if that's true. And
it
I'm
fits
nowhere.
Plato's measurements almost exactly. It's like 28 kilometers in diameter.
And it's got the erosion where the waterfalls would have been and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I read something though debunking that, or at least purporting to debunk it. I'd like to believe those things are true, but I don't know, man.
I'd like to
This
go
is
there.
like, you know what, man? I was kind of thinking about this. Is kind of crazy. We had Seamus Coughlin from Freedom Tunes on. Do you know Freedom Tunes?
No.
You do not know Freedom Tunes? It's
Sorry.
hilarious.
You will.
And he's religious. He's Catholic, right?
He's highly Catholic.
Yeah, very Catholic. And I started thinking about a lot of things he said about Catholicism. And then I started thinking about this quote about simulism. You know what simulism is?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like someone said a simulation theory is just religion for nerds. And I'm like, it really is like basically the same thing. And you can really find analogs between religion and this idea of simulation. It's just, I don't know, one doesn't seem as magical then, and it kind of explains it. So what if that's really what it is? Once we start understanding how computers work and how quantum physics work, and we start understanding that it all may be a simulation, all we've really done is re-explained what religion was saying the whole time. Or I should specifically, like Abrahamic religions were saying the whole time.
Keck's an interesting, point along that that thought because it just came out of nowhere. You know, Kek LOL LOL, but it means the frog god. and
Yeah,
they were doing, like,
dude.
Pepe.
Can you
Kek.
try and look that up?
There's
Just
a whole rabbit hole there.
it's so crazy, dude. It will blow your mind. Like there were posts on 4chan where they were like Donald Trump will get elected, and the whole code, what is it called, the trip code, was all sevens. Like just ridiculous things were happening. They were like Kek wills at all sevens appear, and people were like, "What?" Like that's a lottery ticket. That's like there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff about this. But everything now is like about Kekistan or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not really a documentary. It's just like a video explaining Kek and meme magic. Try typing that in.
What's the? Oh, what were you gonna say?
They just put one out too about the artist who created Pepe, and I didn't want to be sympathetic towards him, but then I was like, man, this guy just wants to draw frogs.
Yeah.
And then he's got the ADL coming after him. I think he sued the wrong people,
Yeah.
but
Who did he sue?
he sued like Alex Jones and a bunch
Yeah,
of right-wing
that's
people.
dumb.
But all he was trying to do the whole
Type
time
in
was
Egyptian
get
guy.
his frog off of the ADL hate list. And so it's like, man, just sue the ADL. Like,
Did you-
stop suing everybody else?
Did you hear that Fred Perry is going to ban? They're discontinuing the black and gold shirts
Yeah.
because the Proud Boys wear them.
Enrique had a good response to that.
What did
He
he-
was like, we should pick his most popular color and adopt it.
And just keep playing like a game of whack-a-mole. How stupid is that? Oh, here we go. Kek mythology. Look at this. Kek is the deification of the concept of primordial darkness. In the ancient Egyptian Agdod cosmogony of Hemopolis, the Agdod consisted of 4 pairs of deities, 4 male gods paired with their female counterparts. Kek's female counterpart was Coquette.
Huh.
Kek and Coquette, in some aspects, also represent night and day, and were called Raiser Up of the Light and Raiser Up of the Night. The name is written as KK or KKYW, with a variant on sky hieroglyph in ligature with a staff associated with the word for darkness. So wait, are they saying that Kek is bad?
Well, he's dark.
That's weird,
Darkness
yeah.
isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Here we go. In popular
Primordial.
culture, they say, in relation to the 2016 presidential election, individuals associated with online message boards, such as 4chan, noted the similarity between Kek and the character Pepe the Frog. This combined with the frequent use of the term Kek as a stand-in for slang LOL, and they explain which was often paired with images of Pepe, resulted in a resurgence of interest in the ancient deity.
Weird.
The funny thing is, I guess, like, what was the image of Kek looked like someone sitting at a computer screen?
Yeah. There was
so
like
crazy, dude.
along the base
Seriously.
of the statue
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
I think that was fake, though. Was that fake?
I
We
don't
could
know.
pull
I
the
like to
picture.
believe.
Yeah, I know. It's fun to believe. But it is true that there's an ancient god Kek, and that Kek is like a thing they were saying, and there's a frog,
And the
and like,
Egyptians had batteries and light bulbs.
They had
I mean,
light bulbs?
According to hieroglyphics, there's
Oh,
a
right,
hieroglyphic
right.
of them holding a giant bulb with looks like a filament
there-
inside,
there's-
and then a
there-
guy holding a battery behind him.
there was one thing I
Those
saw,
Baghdad batteries.
the prophecy of Kek. Look at this.
Whoa.
So this right here, you can see there's a person, then there's this thing and whatever that's behind it. And they're like, person using a computer, internet meme magic. It's kind of dumb because this squiggly line, they're just like, I don't know, just call it meme
looks like
magic.
DNA.
Like, you don't know what that is. Yeah, it could be DNA, whatever. But it does look like someone sitting at a computer. They can't, I don't think that's real, though.
I doubt they had
That's real.
computers,
Yeah.
but that's
no.
just doubt.
No, I think somebody made that up.
You think they photoshopped it?
No, I think someone made the
Oh,
symbol.
of course. I don't know.
Like, I'm saying it's not a real Egyptian symbol.
I'm curious what it's called.
I could be wrong.
I gotta Google
Or
it.
Trump could be magical and he's going to win again.
As predicted.
Yeah. But if Kek is the bad guy, if he's the darkness.
Well, the darkness isn't always bad. You know, you can't have the light without the dark. That's how the theory goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, why the dark is just an I guess a stand-in for bad because we died at night.
Yeah, you
It was
can't-
cold, crops wouldn't grow, and
It's
bear would
because
get
we're
you.
so visual.
Right.
We rely on light.
Yeah, so
the
like
snake probably loves the dark.
snake.
Yeah, the snakes and the cats, they probably love the dark.
Think
I
they
think-
eat us?
That's when they would eat us.
No, the cats are crepuscular.
They can see at night, though. What do you mean corpuscular?
Crepuscular. They come out dawn and dusk. That's why Bucko's like sleeping during the show, and then he wakes up right when we're done because he's like, "Oh, time to get up." It's like, it's getting dark out.
Did you hear about those lions in Africa? There were like 2 lions that they went in and they ate like everyone in a camp, and they attacked right at like 2 a.m. They were not very crepuscular in that instance, so I think that's why humans
What do you mean,
fear
2?
the dark.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, but it was also like when it was cold and dark out, you couldn't grow crops, and so people would be like, "The darkness is bad and scary, and we're gonna die." It's kind of weird though because we loved looking at the stars, so the dark wasn't really bad. I think I wouldn't know enough about religions to actually say whether this is true or not, but like the Eastern religions probably viewed it more balanced, like the way you're saying it, and the Western seemed to view it more negatively. Like yin yang, light and dark balanced together, but maybe not. Did God create light and dark?
Yeah.
Is that what they say in Genesis? Yeah, so maybe it's just people eventually adopted that as some kind of,
Yeah, there were like sun worshipping cults, and then there were like moon worshipping cults. I think the Aryans were moon worshippers. They would come out at night, which is part of why their skin was so light. I think someone told me that, and I don't know.
Nah, it's not. I mean, they were. I've heard that they were into like occult stuff. I don't know if that's true.
The Aryans, the ancient Aryans.
Oh, the ancient Aryans.
I don't know
about
much
that.
about their history, but I heard that they were moon dwellers.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, we just went off into like crazy.
deep.
Yeah, but it's because of Keck, man. So what does this mean for November 3rd? Who's going to win?
It's a simulation. It's a religion. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Is Trump going to win on November 3rd?
I think that he's gonna win unless there's cheating.
They're cheating, dude.
Yeah,
Well-
I think they're cheating. So it could go either way. But I thought that they were gonna cheat and steal it in 2016 too.
But they're literally cheating, and we're watching them do it right now.
Yeah.
Did you see them
And then-
throw all the
sorry.
ballots away?
Yeah.
Which
they're
time?
They're
Which
saying
time?
that those are old ballots, though. To be fair, they're claiming
No.
that those are from 2018.
Did you see James O'Keefe's video? What time is it? Did you see James O'Keefe's video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the dude's driving around like shaking ballots, like, look at this, gonna get paid tonight.
The craziest part of all of this is that the media is like, oh, they're spreading conspiracy theories that there's ballot harvesting and all this stuff, and they're trying to illegitimize the election. And it's like, dude, you guys have been trying to illegitimize the election for 4 years.
Dude,
Like this
that's-
whole Russia hoax and all this stuff that you guys have been doing has been an effort to delegitimize the election, and now you're gonna be like, the right's crazy for doing this. Like,
That's the game.
Even before
it's just
the WikiLeaks, the Hillary Clinton emails delegitimized the Democratic National Committees.
yeah. They were
Support of
giving
Bernie.
the debate questions to Clinton.
Yup. Among a bunch of other really messed up things, like it was totally rigged, and we weren't supposed to know about it, but because of WikiLeaks, we do. And what if that really is why Trump won? Like, think about it. What if they
That's
really?
why I turned on Hillary. 100%. If I didn't know, if I thought she legitimately got the thing, I probably wouldn't have hated her. I definitely wouldn't have hated her. I didn't hate
That's
her back in the day. I
crazy.
never really liked her.
What
but
if that's the one thing the Democrats didn't predict? That someone was going to leak all of this to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks would publish it. And then all of a sudden, you just had this massive uproar that people couldn't ignore. And this weird, creepy conspiracy stuff. I'll tell you this, man. It definitely, they're cheating right now for sure. Ian and I were arguing about this. How do you define cheat? And we're like literally looking at the definition of cheat till it's deceptively or unfairly, give yourself an advantage. That would you agree that's definitely what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're saying Democrats are going to vote by mail more than Republicans. So they're definitely changing the rules. I opened up Instagram and it was like, you live in New Jersey. You are going to get a ballot in the mail, whether you asked for it or not. And I'm like, oh, great. Then you see this thing with James O'Keefe where this dude's going around collecting ballots. It's on video. Imagine now. So the difference, the thing here is in that election, I guess they did mail in, right? For the primary. So they sent out all these mail in ballots. Then a dude went around collecting them. And then you have on video, the other guy saying that they were all blank. He's like, I looked at them, they were blank. And that's exactly what I and everybody else was saying was going to happen. The funny thing about it is James O'Keefe knew the whole time. He just had to get the confirmation and publish a story. Now what are they claiming? They're saying James O'Keefe is making it up. It's edited.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is the dude on camera who is saying I'm getting paid and all this stuff claims it's not his real voice and it's dubbed over. You know why that's funny? Because he's holding the ballots in his hand. So it's like, okay, then what were you saying as you walked around with stacks of ballots?
Yeah.
dude on Twitter, he was like, thanks for all the new subs. Looks like I'm famous.
Wow.
And wasn't one of the people in the video that spoke to James like went on record, and he's like a Somali community organizer.
There was I think it was
And
a woman. Was it a woman? Or are you talking about somebody else?
I think it was a man in the video from last night.
Yeah.
There was some guy. He works in like the Somali community, and he was like going on record.
Oh, right.
being
Yep.
Like, this is what's
Ilhan
happening.
Omar's people are doing
Yeah.
this.
And it's like, how? So you're calling him a liar too? Like,
Yep.
okay.
And this guy was posting on Snapchat like, look at all the ballots I have. I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah.
So the defense from the left is it's not illegal to do that.
Right.
He's helping people vote. They just skipped the part where the guy said the ballots were blank, and he said, who fills them out? Oh, Ilhan Omar's people. Dude, the game's rigged, man. I'm worried about what's going to happen if Trump loses after seeing things like that. Because that one video, no one's going to believe the results. I don't know, man.
Dude,
I mean, I'm not going to believe it.
I don't
If he loses, I'm going to be like, they cheated.
If he wins, I'm going to be like, they cheated. They're cheating right now. We know they are. Win or lose, they're cheating.
So they're going to mail you a ballot?
Yeah, I didn't ask for it.
And then someone can walk by the mailbox and take it?
Yep.
That's crazy. They go...
So think about all the old people who get all these ballots and are probably just not paying attention, just sitting in their house. Think about this. What happens if you never get your ballot? What if what if I never get it and I'm like, it's election day, I have no ballot because someone stole it? Then you have no number. What do you track? You look up your name, maybe
if you
security
go
number.
Vote, and then they say, no, you already voted. Then are you in trouble for trying to vote twice?
Yeah, this is why universal mail-in voting is broken. And I tell you, man, it's the funniest thing when we see story after story from NPR, from the New York Times, from the Baltimore Sun, saying straight up, we're straight dumping primary ballots in the dumpster because we got them too late. I'm exaggerating, but you have all these stories like Baltimore Sun saying 70,000 ballots, were held for too long. Through no fault of their own, the voters will be disenfranchised. Then these same organizations say, Trump said without evidence that there was impropriety in mail-in voting. It's like, you told me that. Well, you know what I love about the news is that Trump will repeat something they say and they'll call him a liar. I'm just, dude, it's all fake news, man. Let me show you this. I want to prove to you guys. This is the best thing right here. Check out this story from the New York Times. Donald Trump's tax returns. The Times obtained Donald Trump's tax information extending over more than 2 decades, revealing struggling properties, vast write-offs, and an audit battle, and hundreds of millions in debt coming due. Take a look at these first 2 sentences. Donald J. Trump paid $750 in federal income tax the year he won the presidency. In his first year in the White House, he paid another $750. You know what's really funny about that? They debunk themselves in their own story. This is not true. He did not. So let's be fair. You guys ever watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
Not really.
Have you seen the one? So there's an episode where they're on the spaceship in the simulation, and the teacher asks Morty, I think he said, what's 9 times 8? And Morty goes, it's at least 40. And he goes, that's correct. It is at least 40. Like, it's true. So when they say Donald Trump paid $750 in federal income taxes, you know what that means? He did.
At least $750.
Yeah, at least $750. So it's like
Wow.
if something cost you $100 and you spent $10, I could say you spent $10.
Yeah.
You spent more than $10, but you did give him $10, right? The New York Times actually says in their own story, I gotta scroll down to try and figure out where it is, that Trump paid way more than that and let the government just keep it. Yet they open their story by saying he only paid $750. I am scrolling down. This is a really long story. Actually, can you just press Control F and then 4.2?
I'm anxiously awaiting these New York Times reporters having to take refuge in an embassy
4.2.
for accepting stolen material.
That's true.
Julian Assange style.
Check this out. Each time he requested an extension to file his 1040, and each time he made the required payments to the IRS. For income taxes he might owe $1 million for 2016 and $4.2 for 2017. But virtually all of that liability was washed away when he eventually filed, and most of the payments were rolled forward to cover potential taxes in future years. You know what that means? It means he gave the government $5.2 million, even though he lost a ton of money and only owed $1,500.
Right.
So when they say he paid $750, that's just 100%
What they should have said is he
factually
owed
untrue.
$750.
Right. He only owed, but that's not sensational.
Right.
That wouldn't catch people's attention. And now every headline is New York Times report Trump only paid $750.
But it's a lie. He paid more than they paid.
It's in their own story that he paid $4.2 million.
Horrific journalism.
It's not journalism. It's propaganda.
It's
and
like-
this story is the same story they wrote in 2016. It's the same thing. I hope you guys are ready for the October surprises because it's gonna be fun. and
Dude,
spicy.
Can't
debate's
wait for
tomorrow.
The debate tomorrow. Yeah.
No, it isn't. I don't believe it.
It's coming.
I don't believe it.
Oh, Joe will
can't
not miss
wait.
it. It's all he's got.
What's he gonna do?
Stumble over his words.
You know what he's going to do? At 9:52 tomorrow morning, he's going to say, I'm calling a lid. I'm not making any appearances today. And then he's just not going to appear.
He's not going to elaborate at all in
That's right.
debate.
I just can't. Yeah, I
They're
can't
going to
do
be
it.
like, are you coming to the debate? No response.
He's going. He's got an ego. He thinks he can do
He's
it.
gonna smile into the camera and go, "Come on, man!
Come on, man.
Over and
Come on,
over.
man.
He's going ready to go at
What,
Trump,
dude?
man.
They're going to rig it. That's what I think.
Who's
He
who's
probably has
debate?
had the debate questions for weeks. They did
Yep.
it in 2016, and nobody's bringing it up now. So
Good point.
Memorize
But
them.
it doesn't matter.
Who's
They-
moderating?
Who's the first?
Wallace?
Chris Wallace.
He's the first
Yeah.
moderator. They don't. You know what they don't understand? When you see these stories about taxes, they still haven't figured out why people voted for Trump.
Amazing.
Because Donald Trump is a dude carrying a giant torch and just lighting the establishment on fire. People don't care if he's covered in human feces and is swearing while he does it. They just want him to bring the flames. So I'm like, what was it? What was it in the 2016 election? Trump's like, I'm a smart businessman. I paid no taxes, and everyone cheered. Yeah. And they think the story's bad. They're saying, one of the stories I read, they were like, I think it's in here. They're saying many Republicans voted for Trump, assuming he was a savvy businessman.
yeah, it's like
Isn't he? If he paid no taxes and he's a billionaire?
yeah, and they're also like being like, "Look, he's broke. He's broke. How terrible!" But also being like, "He's a billionaire, and you guys are supporting this billionaire." And I'm like, "Wait, which one are we supposed to be mad at?" Like,
Pick and choose.
yeah,
Either
they're like
Don.
seeing what sticks, just throwing everything.
They're saying everything, and that's the problem. There's no leadership. It's all over the place. So you've got Donald Trump is a billionaire who won't pay his taxes. Then you've got Donald Trump as a failure who is losing so much money that he doesn't pay taxes. So which one is it?
He's
Yeah.
both. He's a billionaire, and he's running a deficit every year, so he doesn't have to pay taxes by overspending what he's making. Probably
That's
pumping
A.
it back into his company.
That's A, not B. A, you can choose A or B.
But on paper, he's losing money, so they call him poor. But he's not. He actually owns $1 billion of assets or whatever.
Here's the point. If Trump is choosing to write down his assets to save money, that's the first option.
It is.
Second option is Trump is a failure and his businesses are collapsing.
Well, they're losing
they
money.
say both.
But that doesn't make him a failure.
No, that's not what they say, though. Like the Young Turks dude tweeted out, straight up, Trump is a failure. His businesses are collapsing. He has all these bankruptcies.
Didn't you say he had like 5 bankruptcies out of his 100 companies or something?
Trump, I don't know how many. I think it was like 5 bankruptcies out of like 500 plus businesses.
That's incredible. That's a great number.
And the other thing, too, is, dude, this is so annoying. This is everything they did in 2015 and 16. Like, Trump Water went out of business, and Trump Steaks don't exist, and Trump Magazine. Go to Durrell. Go to Trump Durrell. Guess what? There'll be a Trump Water bottle on the nightstand. You can order a Trump Steak, and Trump Magazine is right there on the coffee table. It's not that they went out of business. It's that they're for his properties. But they just lie about everything. It's just lies. And so then when you see, like, Project Veritas, and they say, no, James O'Keefe is lying, I'm like, dude, I don't believe you.
It's kind of like if Trump was a movie that was really good, the Democrats are trying to make another movie that's better, but they have worse actors and bad directing, and it's just worse. And you can't tell people that movie is better. You can't, like, no amount of commercials is going to make that movie better because it's crappier. So now they're trying to tell us and show us how it's better. But like every time you look at the movie, you know it's horrible compared to that other movie. That other movie's awesome compared to that.
People are entertained by Trump.
Yes, superiorly. He's hilarious. He's an actor. He's got a hit show.
Trump keeps demanding Joe Biden take a drug test. I just
love
love it.
that.
It's
I love
hilarious. Dude, I can understand when people complain about decorum and things like that, like the highest office. But I'm sitting back like, you know what? The crony establishment has been playing dirty politics for forever. As long as I've been alive. I have no faith in these people to do the right thing. Everybody screams war is bad, and then they go, okay, vote for me and I'll end the war. And then as soon as you elect them, they go, and then press the nuke button. And so I'm just like, I'm out. When Trump comes in and he's running around screaming and he's like throwing flaming torches at the establishment, I'm just like, you want me to get mad? Dude, you guys have been ripping us off forever. As long as I've been alive, it's been a dirty game. It's been all fake. And now finally some dude comes in and he's messing up your business and you're coming to me and crying about it? I don't care.
Don't
Sorry.
forget Jimmy Carter. Didn't take us in any wars in the media. Hated that guy.
Mm-hmm.
They made him out to be the worst president of all time.
Sure.
Trump should just do like a press conference where he's like, if I get reelected, I will fire 15 nukes at the Middle East, and they're all going to cheer and be like, Donald Trump is a hero.
We should reelect him.
No, the nuke thing is over the top.
They cheered for him when he was talking, or when he did bomb
Yeah.
Syria.
Right.
They were like, "This is the greatest thing he's ever done. He's finally a president now." And I'm
I
like,
That's what they want. Why do they want that though? That's so weird. It's because I think the military-industrial complex conversation is too simplistic. Like it's not just about making money.
Well, war is good for ratings.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
Oh yeah.
It drives those
Yup.
clicks.
Yeah.
But I wonder. You know what I think? You know what's better for ratings than war?
But
Trump.
yeah.
Trump is the best. They found a guy who is literally a TV personality, and they were like, "This is cash money, baby." You see Tucker Carlson's ratings? Almost 5 million. It's like the biggest ratings in cable history,
Yeah.
for cable news history. That's crazy. These these TV companies are supposed to be collapsing. No. Tucker Carlson is basically like walking through the fog of fake news with a machete, clearing the way, and people are following behind him. And then you get the mainstream and the progressive saying he's far right, he's alt right, all these other ridiculous, stupid things that are just ridiculously
But,
not true.
You know, the craziest thing though is he's the one who has on like anti-war leftists.
I know.
You're never going to see people from like the Gray Zone or Tulsi Gabbard on like MSNBC or CNN, but Tucker will have them on.
Yep.
And he'll have a completely like respectful, intelligent conversation with them. Nobody else does it.
It's
and
funny-
People love it.
It's funny when he tries to have a conversation with these like ultra woke, culty people who just don't speak. It's like trying to talk to one of the Stepford wives. Like they're actually robots. They were robots, right? Is that what that movie was about?
Yeah.
They were all replaced. Other one were that
I've
movie?
never seen it.
It's like
That's
a
a great movie.
what is it like? It's like a 50s style neighborhood of like perfect housewives, but they're all just replaced by robots because the husbands wanted subservient wives or something.
Yeah, basically.
So I remember Tucker had on this woman, and he like asked her an honest question, and then she just goes into robo mode, and she's like, "Tucker, you're far right," and it's like, what? You can't have conversations, man.
Like
You know-
the infamous one with the Teen Vogue lady.
That's probably the
I
one.
think that's the one you're thinking.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. You know. I understand there are Trump supporters that are zealots, that are like diehard MAGA. You can't tell them anything. They won't believe it. But it's like CNN did this thing where they went to a Trump rally, started talking to Trump supporters, and Trump supporters started, making fun of Joe Biden. And then when the CNN reporter handed the phone to the guy to show them that this one video of Biden sleeping was fake, the guy went, "I must have missed that one. But, I've seen a lot more other things." You can't do that with Antifa. You can't do that with progressives. So what CNN showed me there, I was like, wow, that was actually really reasonable of the guy. It's embarrassing that he believed fake news, but he looked at it and went, "Oh, I must have missed that one." That's great.
Right.
That shows that he's thinking.
Like when he said, "I'm going to beat Joe Biden," he actually said, "I'm going to be Joe Biden."
Yeah. If you look at the full context of the video, he said, "I'm going to be Joe Biden." He was like, so this is a viral clip where people said Joe Biden said he's going to beat Joe Biden. But he gets asked something about his record. They were like, "What's your record going to be as president?" And he goes, "Look, people keep asking me what I'm going to do, but I'm Joe Biden and I'm going to be Joe Biden." And I'm like, I get what he's saying. But I guess some people heard the T, but I guess it's because we don't enunciate our T's in, the way we speak in colloquial English.
Neither of these guys are saints. Neither of them are demons. I mean, Biden's got good qualities. He's just
Biden really creeps me out.
I don't think Biden has good qualities.
he's got some.
No way,
he's
dude.
not
Like
he's not a
what?
demon possessed by Satan or anything. He's just a terrible presidential candidate. creepy
His
as-
face looks like a purge mask. He really freaks me out.
Dude, he got.
Botox.
Well,
I
that's
think he got
just
a bunch
mean.
of work.
No,
Yeah.
that's just mean.
I think he got a bunch
true.
of Botox or something in the last 5 years.
Probably.
It
Yeah.
scares me, man.
Yeah.
And
It's like
Kamala
Uncanny
Harris, too.
Valley. I
Yeah,
hate
she
it.
did. Yeah.
And so did Hillary, man. It's tripping me out.
Yeah,
Everybody-
they
Remember
all
when
give
she
me
used to
the
look for her
heebie-jeebies.
cheek lifts? What's that?
They give me the heebie-jeebies.
Remember when that weird like fake Hillary picture came out?
Which one?
Yeah.
There was a picture with Hillary and Bill Clinton, and people were like, "That's not Hillary.
not
That's
her."
like, what is that? It's like a body double or something."
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that.
And it really didn't look like her, and people were saying it's not. And then I recall when they were saying that Kim Jong-un was dead, and then the photos emerged, and everyone started saying it's not really him, and the media called him conspiracy
Hey, I had a
theorist.
question about
And then
that.
it turned out it wasn't really him.
I had a question about that.
What?
So remember when Donald Trump tweeted out a couple weeks ago, Kim Jong-un is alive and well. He's doing great. He's better than ever. What was up with that? Why did
What
he
do you
tweet
mean?
that out of nowhere?
I don't know. Why not?
Because they think that Kim Jong-un has been gone for a while.
No, I thought they
now.
confirmed that he was actually alive.
How did they confirm that? With pre-recorded video?
I have no idea.
No, interesting.
Not necessarily a story that I am following all too much.
haven't
But
followed closely.
but anyway, Joe Biden I think is not good. Joe Biden, his whole career, what has he done? It's been plastic, garbled, whatever he's got to say to get the keys to the castle. I'll tell you this, man. You have to be a special kind of insane to be like, well, this guy's been in office for 47 years and nothing's improved. I think I'll try that again.
No, he's I gave him a 17 out of 100 as a presidential candidate quality. But if he was in your house, he wouldn't rob you. He wouldn't beat you up.
That's not true.
No, he
I
would
don't
just
believe
sit
that.
there. He might be a jerk, but then he'd he'd eat, have dinner, and then he'd leave.
There was a story which Judicial Watch confirmed that I had wrote about in 2017. I knew some Secret Service guys. They told me a story about how Biden would always like grope women and girlfriends of Secret Service agents at the Christmas party, to the point where they had to cancel the Christmas party that they had.
Wow.
And one of the agents actually like wound up like ready to hit him, and he ended up getting suspended because he was going to hit the vice
So
president.
what Judicial Watch
creep.
found is that they issued a request for the documents, and then the confirmation they got was that those documents have since been deleted. And they were like, so those documents existed. Oh, that's how they confirmed it.
Yeah, but he strikes me as like, see, Trump I think can be kind of like snarky and you know, kind of arrogant almost, but he's not mean.
Almost.
And I don't think he's mean. Like I don't think he would ever be like mean to somebody. Biden, like when he snaps at people, like
Yeah.
he seems mean.
Did you see him call the military
Yeah.
a bunch of stupid bastards?
Yeah.
That was
And
so
that
It was-
one where he was yelling at the guy, saying like he probably, oh, that's why she's your ex or something.
Yeah.
Like
Or
one of his voters.
look fat.
Yeah.
Or the dude who was asking him questions, and then he's like, why, and he grabs the guy.
Yeah. Like
Or
I don't
when-
think Trump's mean like that. I think that Biden's
Trump-
mean.
Trump is mean if you're mean to Trump.
Yeah.
Trump will be mean if you're mean to him. That's it. If you're nice to Trump, Trump will be, he loves it. He loves the positive attention. And I'm not the only one who's pointed this out. The left doesn't want to accept it. That if the Democrats just played to Trump's ego, he'd have compromised on everything. He would have been like, okay, like look at the gun control thing. Was it like the bump stock ban?
Yeah.
They started saying we want to do this, and he was like, oh, it's winning me favors. I like this. They're saying good things about me. And then a bunch of conservatives were like, what's he doing? The Democrats needed to realize Trump likes it when you're nice to him, and he'll be nice back. Then they decided, you know what? Let's just insult him in every possible way. So Trump is just like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
He like cut his losses. You know, it got to a certain point where he realized they hate him so much, there's no point. And that's a really dumb thing to do. If you want something, then even if you think the other side's not going to give it, or it's hard to do, you don't win by insulting and attacking them. You're not going to get anything. Then what happens is the American people get tired of it. They vote Republican. Now Republicans are going to get 3 Supreme Court justices.
And they have the House. They have the Senate.
They have the Senate.
They have the president.
We'll see what happens, man. I'm really interested because, money talks. And if Lindsey Graham really is down because after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, Democrats got, lit on fire. I mean that figuratively, like they got motivated. Then maybe he'll lose. And I wouldn't be surprised because I'm seeing a lot of Trump supporters don't like him either.
I would love to see him
I
go.
don't like him.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything.
No. Neither does Mitch McConnell, man. Let him go.
Yeah.
I don't like
We need term limits.
I don't
Yeah,
like
we do.
any of the establishment. Like, whenever I think about who I possibly like, I just think about the 8 Republicans and the 3 Democrats who agree with Trump on withdrawing from the Middle East.
That's them.
I'm like, everybody else, I don't know what you're doing. But, a couple of the Democrats who voted for that. I can respect that and give them credit for it. Absolute respect for doing the right thing. But some of these other Democrats have done really dumb things, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. There's the Republicans have as well. But, like Matt Gaetz, who else was in the House who did this? I can't remember. I know it was Matt Gaetz, probably Thomas Massey. I think he's in the House, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who voted to stay?
Wait, what? What is this?
Wasn't Kirsten Sinema
Did this just
one
break?
of the Democrats?
We got breaking news.
What?
Donald Trump receives 3rd nomination for Nobel Peace Prize.
All right.
What?
Dang.
What is
Look
what's
at
what's
that
this?
photo.
Is this a legit sources
Australian
from?
law professors. I'm reading it from Newsweek.
Whoa! Check this out. President Donald Trump has received his 3rd nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize, this time from Australian law professors on the basis of the Trump doctrine of foreign policy. Law professor David Flint appeared on Britain's Sky News over the weekend, saying the Trump doctrine is something extraordinary, saying, what he has done with the Trump doctrine is that he has decided he would no longer have America in endless wars which achieve nothing but the killing of thousands of young Americans and enormous debts imposed on America, and nothing solved in the countries in which it's carried on. So he's reducing America's tendency to get involved in any and every war. Flint continued, saying, he has firstly common sense, and he is only guided by national interest, and therefore an interest in the Western alliance. Flint also credited Trump's approach to the Middle East peace with the Abraham Accord, which saw the United Arab Emirates and Israel normalize relations, the first agreement between Israel and a major Arab country since 1994. Trump has 2 prior Nobel Prize nominations, from a member of the Norwegian parliament for the historic Middle East peace deal, and from a member of the Swedish parliament for helping to normalize relations between Serbia and Kosovo. Come on, he's got to win.
They
3?
won't give it to him.
They won't do it.
Well, who's in charge of voting?
It's Norway, right? The Norwegian.
They might.
I don't know, the Peace Prize Council or whatever.
Who else?
Isn't it
Norwegian.
like a bunch of previous winners who vote on it?
Oh, really?
I'm
Can you
not
look that
sure.
up?
I will look that up, yeah.
Maybe. And they'll never give it to Trump.
I mean, they gave it to Obama before he did anything,
Right.
and then went on to become the drone ranger.
The drone ranger.
I think it's just a
Obama.
partisan thing.
You know, nickname I really loved is Obama, because people with the British accent, they say words that end in A, they say with an so they naturally just called him Obama, and I'm like, that's his name, that's correct, you're saying it properly, and they're, it's like, I hear no accent, Obama,
They're right that us getting out of the Middle East is preserving the lives of Australians, because we were like bringing British and Australians into it.
So what is this? Who votes?
It's talking about the people who select the prize winners.
Does it say who wins? Laureates.
Yeah.
Nomination and selection. No, but like who? So the nominations, let's see, there are 318 candidates for the Nobel Prize in 2020, of which 211 are individuals and 107 are organizations. 318 is the 4th highest number of candidates ever. The current record of 376 candidates was reached in 2016. Neither the names of the nominators nor of the nominees for the Nobel Prize may be divulged until 50 years have elapsed. Oh, interesting.
I don't understand that.
So then people are announcing they're doing it and giving up their names?
That's strange.
Yeah. Let's see. The Norwegian Nobel Committee is
Yeah.
responsible for selecting the prize laureates. Right, okay. A nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize may be submitted by any persons who are qualified to nominate. So qualified nominators, according to the statutes of the Nobel Foundation, a nomination is considered valid if it is submitted by a person who falls within one of the following categories: members of national assemblies and national governments, okay, members of the International Court of Justice at The Hague and the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, members of l'Institut des Droits International, members of the International Board of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, university professors, professor emeriti, and associate professors of history, social sciences, law, philosophy, theology, religion, university rectors and university directors or their equivalents, directors of peace, research institutes, foreign policy, blah, blah, blah. Persons who have been awarded. Okay,
Yeah.
so laureates can. Members of the main board of directors or its equivalent organizations that have been awarded the prize, current and former members of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, former advisors to the Norwegian Nobel Committee. That's kind of a really broad criteria for
Yeah.
nominating. So like what, some professor can just be like, I nominate this person and submit
Yeah.
it. We'll see if Trump wins. Should he win? Panel.
I don't know who else
Discuss.
he's up against.
I think
Do you?
he should.
Who
Yeah,
else?
absolutely.
How many people can win? Two people a year?
Is that it? I have no
I have
idea.
no idea either.
Selection.
There's different categories. I don't know for
Well,
each
in-
category.
In, I guess, let's see, they're awarded in December. So it'll be really funny if Trump loses
I mean,
and then
who
he
else
wins the
could
Nobel Peace Prize.
possibly-
Wow.
I don't see any
Who's done anything
competition.
yeah.
Dude, they're going to give it to some I don't know,
Greta?
like bean farmer. And they're going to be like, John Smith grew a bunch of beans and then donated them so he wins. You know what I mean? Anything, like they'll give it to anybody.
Yeah.
They'll give it to Greta. I don't know. She was nominated recently, right?
Julian's been nominated. I think like
Yeah, they'll never
every
give it to
year
him either.
For like 10 years or
They're-
something.
I think they're so mad at that guy because when you think, I think they're doing the same strategy as 2016 because they're probably convinced it would have worked except for the hate factor for Hillary Clinton.
Dude, they obviously threw Bernie under the bus again. I mean, he
What a
was
loser.
so far ahead in the polls until like a week before Biden all of a sudden surged. And then all of a sudden
Dude.
Biden surged for some reason. This
They have
boring.
it out for Bernie, and Bernie like bends over and takes it, and it irritates me.
This is why he
should've
shouldn't
run
be president.
He should run
Yeah.
independent. Yeah. Unless
No,
he's
he-
going to
no,
run
no, no, no.
independent and grow a sack. No, he's out.
You need, there's a reason why people like someone like Trump. Because think about Donald Trump negotiating. He's going to be sitting at a table. First of all, Trump's, what is he, like 6'3" or 6'4" or something?
Yeah.
He's like a tall guy. He's overweight, so he's just like this big dude. He's imposing. Like that's a fact. His name, big gold letters everywhere. You put him in a room full of these people and he's going to be like, your trade deal's bad. No. You give us $1 billion. No. That's what people want.
They're
They
not
want
going
to
to
push
have
it.
that in this year's debate, though. Like, I remember watching the debate with Hillary, and I was like, man, that's like a hulking dude, like, because she was so tiny. And Biden is pretty tall himself, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Skinny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
so
gonna
lost a
you know
lot
what they're
of
gonna do?
weight.
They're gonna give Biden an exoskeleton, like an Iron Man suit, that like under his clothes, so he can stand up, but like in a resting position. So you'll see him, you'll think he's standing when actually he's being suspended. You know?
I can see it.
Yeah. How's that guy gonna
sticks with
stand for? Was it
suspenders.
2 hours?
Yeah.
That's how they keep
they're gonna
calling
have
the lid.
people are gonna notice like weird little things like pulling up from his sleeves because he's got fishing line lifting him up,
No, he's
and he's just
suspended, yeah.
he's gonna be floating
excited.
there.
Mission Impossible
Marionette.
style.
You know what
Yeah.
would be really amazing? If the backdrop for the debate is just like a black screen, and then when Biden comes out, it's two dudes in full black Zentai suits, and
Yeah.
they're like lifting his legs for him. You ever see those things they do in the theaters, like the
Yeah.
Japanese show?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like walking him out and waving his arms for him, and you can see the guys doing it. That'd be hilarious.
That'd be cool. What time is the debate tomorrow?
I would say 9.
8 or 9.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I wanted to do, because we've been asked it a lot, like a live commentary on the debate.
That'd be cool.
But we can't because if we show the debate at all,
Well,
let's
let's do what Rogan does with Fight Companions. So we'll put a timer on, and so you can synchronize it with the show,
Oh,
and then
so
we'll just talk about it.
interesting. Yeah, we could maybe do that and just watch the debate,
That'd be fun.
and then just like it'll be like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, we'll be like, no, he didn't, and then we'll just talk amongst ourselves, whatever. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
what they do on
You
Fight
know,
Companion.
we can fact check in real time, and
That's
pull
a
up sources
great
and
idea.
stuff. And I think what you'll find is Trump's probably going to say a lot of things that are incorrect, and Joe Biden's going to say a lot of things that are incorrect. And the media is going to tell you that Joe Biden said nothing wrong and Trump said lies.
And Trump will do it on purpose, but Biden will
Right.
do it on accident.
No. Like a lie
Biden's a
versus
moron.
being wrong. They say Trump
Right.
lies all the time, and I'm like, look,
Not all the time. That's a.
he's wrong a lot.
hyperbole.
He's wrong a lot. He's wrong about things. But does that mean he's intentionally misleading you? Dude, can you read his mind?
No.
Sometimes you know if someone's lying or not. You know what I mean? So Trump lies. They all lie. Who doesn't lie?
Joe Biden kicked
Impossible.
off his campaign with a lie.
Oh,
about
yeah, the whole thing is
about,
lies.
Bernie Sanders
Charlottesville.
doesn't lie,
Yep.
but
Bernie
that's why
Sanders
he's not
doesn't
running
lie?
for president.
I don't believe that.
You think he's a liar?
I
Yeah.
used to think he was honest. Now I think he's a liar.
Yeah.
I think he's a pushover.
Bernie lost
Right.
me.
But he wouldn't lie. That's why he got pushed over.
Dude, what news outlet was it where they were like, here's the exact moment Bernie stopped saying millionaires and billionaires and started saying billionaires? And they're like, it coincides with when his book cracked $1 million.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like, dude, I don't trust that guy.
He'd been regurgitating that rrhetoric for like 40 years. 30 years ago, a millionaire was
The
a big
millionaires.
deal. And
The
he just-
billionaires.
The Democrats had a good thing with Tulsi. and
Yeah.
They did.
Blew it.
Yeah.
Tulsi
They
tried
like
so
brutalized her.
she tried so hard to like she's holding on to the right and the left and being pulled apart. It's like that scene in Spider-Man, where the train is going and Spider-Man's got the the webs and he's trying like to stop the train.
Yeah.
Tulsi was doing that, but there's nothing she could do because the right was more than willing to be like, sure thing, Tulsi, come on and talk to us. And the left was like, burn the witch. She's a Trump
that's because
supporter.
she came out against Hillary in 2016, and she was
Yep.
like, after the WikiLeaks stuff. And then the day Julian was arrested, she went on MSNBC and was like, free him now. So she's always taken like a controversial stance, and she doesn't really toe the establishment line. They just couldn't handle it.
She's where Democrats used to be.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to stay here. And the party's just jumped off the edge.
Yeah. She would have been great, though.
What's she doing now? Because she's not running again.
I don't know. I'd love to see her as like Secretary of State or something.
Trump.
Secretary of Defense.
Well, I remember when the American Conservative wrote that Donald Trump should fire John Bolton and hire Tulsi Gabbard instead.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
like, I love that conservatives are saying that. Because like all of the things they disagree with Tulsi on, they found this point where like, we agree Tulsi should be doing this job.
Well, she's perfect on foreign policy, so why not use her as for foreign policy?
Trump should.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't understand why. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe Trump knows something I don't. I feel like there's so many things that Trump could do that would just like get him a landslide victory. He doesn't do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like weed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's this graph or whatever you want to call it, data from NBC News where you can slide voter demographics left and right. And they were like, based on demographic changes right now, if nothing changes from 2016, Joe Biden wins. But if Trump wins just 3% more of the black vote, he wins.
Ooh.
Just 3%. The crazy thing was Like there's a certain point at which you could flip Illinois if Trump actually was able to get the black vote.
Wow.
So Trump just launched that. I don't know if what was it called? The Platinum Plan
Yeah.
for the black community. $500 billion. The Klan and Antifa are going to be labeled domestic terrorists. And I don't know if that's going to be enough. Okay, I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any opinions on whether it's going to, change the game or help him out.
I think it was a coward move.
What was?
Really?
I think that branding Antifa and the Klan, who's like, where's the Klan, without branding Black Lives Matter, a terrorist organization, I think that it was the coward way out.
I think it was very clearly political.
Yeah.
Because, Donald Trump he's been not too kind to Black Lives Matter.
Right.
What did he say? He's like, they're a Marxist organization, and if I'm wrong, I'll lose an election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, whoa. That's the kind of attitude people like.
But people keep blaming, like, oh, it's just Antifa, and it's not. It's Antifa and it's Black Lives Matter. And if people are too scared to say that, then
right.
it's like, all right.
But what I've always said is I don't think it's like it is true. It's Antifa and Black Lives Matter, but I would just say it's Black Lives Matter because the Antifa guys are flying the Black Lives Matter flag and they're recruiting people not under the name Antifa.
Right.
You're not going to go to a college and be like, who wants to abolish capitalism and get massive numbers? You'll get some people, there's a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But if you go there and say Black Lives Matter, they're going to be like, I'm in. Then you could be like, here's your club, here's your pitchfork, here's your mask and your shield. Go throw these bombs. And then people are going to be like, oh, okay.
I know people that would identify with Black Lives Matter that aren't terrorists, though. They're like normal people that are confused.
And will they go out and protest?
I don't know, maybe.
And when these people do they run and stop the extremists wearing all black?
No, they would run
explosives?
away from that stuff.
And so you get a large mass of people who provide cover to extremists for 4 months straight.
Yeah.
But
So
you have people that run from it that don't want anything to do with it, and those people shouldn't be branded terrorists just because they identify with the.
But
sure. But
this has been going on for like 150 days, though. Mm-hmm. If you're still like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, after seeing all these cities burn, all these businesses destroyed, then you're supporting it. It's like being like, well, I don't agree with ISIS bombing the buildings, but like, they're just doing things because they believe in it.
It's like waving their flag, and then when someone's like, "Why are you waving that?" You'd be like, "Oh, because it's this new thing they're doing." And then when you're like, "Don't you know they do these things?" and they go, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Well, what about the people that put BLM on their Twitter profile?
They're trying to protect themselves.
I think it's a combination of that. A lot of people are like, "Please leave me alone. I'll say whatever you want me to say." And there are a lot of people, dude. If somebody walked around with a sickle and hammer, would you assume that they're ignorant or that they support communism?
At this stage, ignorant.
You think people would be ignorant?
Yeah, I think people are so uneducated that they think communism is cool.
So is it possible then that the people who are supporting Black Lives Matter know about the stories but think it's not true?
It's possible. Well, the reason I'm saying, okay, I'm on Twitter, I'm on like Tinder, I do these dating apps, and like I'll be swiping and I'll see girls that are like rainbow flag BLM. And I know they're not terrorists. They're just like, I want to do the right thing. It
reminds me of that photo of everyone doing the Roman salute to Hitler, except for the one guy who's crossing his arms all angry.
Yeah.
I'm not interested, man. If you want to be a blind zealot without reading or doing any research, then
they're not terrorists. They're blind zealots.
I would have agreed with this like the first month of riots. At this point, if you're still supporting it, you're complicit, and I have no problem with saying that they support terrorists, honestly.
I think that people are having a hard time drawing a distinction between the fact that Black lives actually matter and the organization Black Lives Matter.
Right.
So when Donald Trump is trying to appeal to black people, and he's saying, I'm intentionally not designating Black Lives Matter a terrorist group, but I am designating Antifa a terrorist group. Maybe that's obviously political ploy to say I'm not going to estrange these people.
That's a good
But
point. Because, and the girls that I think on Tinder, they're not part of the movement. They're just saying that Black Lives Matter. They're making that statement.
And listen.
Or maybe
I hate to play into Godwin's law. Yeah. This is exactly how. Not to accuse them of being Nazis. What I'm saying is people often ask, how is it that all of these people just went along with Hitler? It's just because they didn't know or care. Because they didn't read the news.
And they were starving.
The economy was in the gutter. And then here comes along this guy who's like, I'm going to fix everything for you. He starts fixing it. They don't care. They're just like, well, the economy's better. And it's funny because that's what the left says right now about Trump. But that's not Trump supporters going around destroying the black community. Like, you literally have white Antifa running through Atlanta, burning down businesses. And when I tell these activists, I'm like, do you think it's wrong that a bunch of white suburbanites from like upper class families are damaging and destroying black businesses and migrant businesses? Do you think it's a bad thing? And they're like, well, you need to understand the pain they feel and why. I'm like, no, I don't. No, if you want to go and destroy the life of anybody, I'm not going to, look, I can understand, you know, I'm not going to empathize. I'm not going to sympathize. I'm going to be like, arrest that person.
But think of, if you could have understood Hitler and got through to him and talked to him before
I think
he went crazy, you
A-
could have averted that war.
A lot of people understand him. He's nuts.
But I mean,
he was nuts.
At
he was
the time,
nuts.
if someone could have gotten through to him and shown him love before he went crazy, he might
wasn't-
not have gone crazy.
That's
So
that's
there
too
is a
hippy dippy
value
for
that-
me, man.
Well, it's both. It's real. If you have no empathy, it's not. People won't change.
It's not about empathy. It's like there's a line between a group of psychopathic zealots who won't talk to you, who are fanatically screaming because they're paranoid and delusional, and they're going and burning down people's buildings, and then you have people defending them.
I think my point is they are not psychopathic zealots.
Okay,
People
let me-
can behave like a psychopathic zealot, and then they can behave normally. But
Here's-
it's not
here's-
that
here's-
they are one or the other. They can just change their behavior.
Here's the problem with your analogy. So we're talking about people who are literally doing a thing. They're doing things that are destroying. So imagine if based on what you're saying, after Kristallnacht, people were like, well, if only after that people went and talked to Hitler and gave him love, he would have stopped. It's like you literally have people going around destroying the Jewish community.
They should be punished. If someone burns a building, they should be punished for that. But that doesn't mean that you should have no empathy.
Why would I empathize with someone who's like, I hate this group of people and want to destroy their lives?
So they see that there's a reason to change, that there's actually hope.
I don't see how that's going to be their reason to change. I don't understand what
If
you're
no
trying
one
to say.
loves them and they have no reason to change, they won't. If
No, I think if somebody does something good, you praise them for it and show them a path. If someone does something bad, you don't be like, I'm going to let you keep doing this.
no,
and
you punish them for it, and then you learn to understand why they did it.
So when did I say that wouldn't happen? I'm
Well,
saying
I mean,
put him in jail.
I
And
think
that.
the understanding of why they did it comes with the empathy.
Well, and so why do you think these people are going around destroying the black community in migrant neighborhoods?
Because they're poor, because they're...
No. The white people who are
Because
upper
COVID
class
shut their jobs down. They can't get a job and they can't get an apartment.
The overwhelmingly upper class, progressive, six-figure college degree kids who make up the progressive left in this country who are going around burning
the Bank
things
for
down.
International Settlements has printed $90 trillion
What
of fiat
does that
currency
have to
and
do with
inflated-
rich people? What does that have to do with rich people
because
who are
they're
well off?
angry at the capital system.
But they're rich.
Inflating-
They're
They're
rich.
still angry at the system. It's
Why?
a Ponzi scheme.
What-
They've been inflating the dollar
dude,
for like 90 years, dude.
What you're saying has nothing to do with people who have everything.
I mean, if you want to see why people are disillusioned with the system, it's because the banking establishment
No,
is
it's not.
printing fiat currency
No, it
since
isn't.
the 70s, dude.
There's no upper class woke progressive going, oh gosh darn it, these banks are
I'm
deflating.
one of them. I'm angry, but I've looked for a different
And that's
path.
not the woke left who are burning down
but
black
I very
communities.
easily could have been that guy.
That's you. I'm talking about the woke left that are the 8% of this country that are progressive, that have college degrees, that tend to make more than $100,000 a year, are not oppressed, are not doing poorly. They're not poor.
Dude, they saw
They're-
Zeitgeist, man. They know
No,
that the Federal
no,
Reserve is
they
printing
didn't,
fiat. Of
dude.
course
You're
they
talking
did.
about the wrong people.
I disagree there. Neither of us know.
No,
So,
I do know
I mean,
because
you don't know those people.
I'm specifically citing the More in Common study that found 8% of this country who identify as progressives, who make more than six figures and make up the woke left. That's the specific data I'm referring to. These are the people who make up the violent groups that are organizing this destruction and going down, burning buildings down. These are not poor people organizing this.
I'm saying you don't know those people. You know their demographic. Neither of us know those people.
And we have a general idea of what they think. White people are oppressors.
I think
Whiteness
they saw
is evil.
Zeitgeist.
That's
So,
not
I mean,
Zeitgeist.
it's a general idea of people
Dude,
that are in their 30s right now, 25, they saw Zeitgeist.
25-year-olds
They saw loose change. Those
That
people
was-
saw the
Dude,
all
that was
this.
15 years ago. That was
I know.
A 25-year-old
Their
10 years.
their parents saw it
Dude,
and
a
are
10-year-old
disillusioned, raising these kids like, what am I going to do?
A
The system's
10-year-old
stacked against
did
us.
not watch those documentaries, dude. A 10-year-old did not watch that. They're watching woke garbage propaganda, and they come from overwhelmingly white suburbs where they think white people are oppressors and whiteness is evil. So they go to minority neighborhoods and start fires and burn them down.
I think we're doing a lot of assuming right now.
No, you are.
Dude, so are you.
No, I'm not.
You're
I
saying-
just literally cited the more in common data where 8% have these characteristics. There is a tendency among these people to believe these specific things. You're referencing anecdotal data about how you 15 years ago watched
I'm
Zeitgeist.
telling you why they're crazy.
That's-
They're crazy
they-
because their parents don't care, because their parents are disillusioned. Dude, if you think the banking establishment printing fiat is not the problem or a huge problem, then you're missing it.
You think these people who are woke are like, gosh
They
darn,
just printed $3 trillion.
and they don't
dude.
care. They're asking for more money.
Yeah.
Why aren't they burning down the Federal Reserve then?
And why are they asking them to
Well,
print
they're going
more
after
money?
federal buildings.
So why are
I
they
mean-
saying print more? If they
Federal Reserve's
care
not
so
even a
much,
federal building.
if they care so much,
Good
why?
point. Occupy Wall Street wanted to burn down the Federal Reserve. Ron Paul wanted to take it out.
10 years ago.
Yeah, and
So
those are the same people. Like
no,
you said in
they're
the past.
not.
I mean, it's.
I said the Occupy people are
divergence of
supporting
the people.
Trump right now, and that when
Well,
I went
a
to
lot
the
of those people are
deplorable,
looking for
your
meaning.
deplorable, there were Occupy people there wearing MAGA hats saying when they were fighting against the establishment, Trump was their guy. Bernie was at first, then Trump. 25-year-olds did not know anything about Occupy Wall Street. And right now, they're demanding the government print more money. And they're saying, why don't we just get universal basic income? Deficit spending. AOC has talked about deficit spending, where the government just keeps printing more and more money to cover the cost of healthcare. So mass inflation wipes out everyone's savings and destroys the
I
working
know,
class.
and they know that that's going to happen.
She's
anyway.
calling for
I
it.
know, and they're psychotic.
No,
because
dude.
they know it's going to destroy the economy, and they're
They're-
still calling for it.
Ian, may I have a word?
Oh, please.
So I think what you may not be understanding is that the people who are rioting in the streets are communists who believe that the government should have more control. They are not technically anarchists, which is something that bothers Tim. Because anarchists want no government, they want absolutely no control and no structure. The people who
That's
are
not true.
rioting and burning things down.
That's wrong.
Well, you're welcome to correct me just a second. Let me finish my thought. But people who are rioting and burning things down actually are communists. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who think that all you have to do is wish currency into being. So I would disagree with your basic tenet that these people just watch Zeitgeist and don't like the Federal Reserve because they think that they can solve these problems just by throwing more money.
They don't even know what the Federal Reserve is.
This is, well, they should. The reason why they're tending towards communism is because they've been disillusioned with capitalism. It's
That's
the same
not-
reason why the Russians went
That's-
towards communism.
That's not true, man.
Yeah.
They don't even know what capitalism is.
It's they know that it's inflating, and they can't get an apartment in San Francisco.
That's
because
not
it's
capitalism.
$3,200 a month now.
That's not capitalism.
It's-
Central
it's a-
banking systems are not capitalism.
Well, yeah, of course they are.
So when they're complaining about
fund
capitalism, they have no idea what they're talking about. They're mad about nebulous and vague oppression systems of whiteness.
Especially inflation. They're
It's-
mad
it's-
about inflation.
You know what they're really mad about? They're mad that they have nothing to do with their lives. Humanity won. We have an abundance of food. We're super wealthy. We're all fat. And so they have nothing to do. They have no purpose. So they found one. Defeat the oppressors. That's my mission. Now they're complaining about a system they benefit from. And the funny thing is, when people criticize them for using iPhones, they go, well, what's that comic where they're like, I want to improve society, and then the guy's like making fun of them or something. They seem to think there's no criticism of them for using computers made by slave labor in Southeast Asia. They're allowed to do that. They have no purpose, they have no mission, they have no meaning in their lives. So they created one and they latched on to whatever's in front of them. Now you have a lot of people who just see big brands saying it and they go along with that. But these people don't know what the Federal Reserve is. If you ask them, they'd say, what's that? You would say, do you know what the Federal Reserve is? Oh, that's what they would say. I guarantee you may find one person who knows what you're
It's
talking
a lot
about.
of conjecture. We don't know.
Dude, I've been covering this for a decade.
The radical left has a long history too of adopting positions that are already commonly accepted by society. Like, oh, we're anti-racist. It's like, okay, yes, so is everybody else. But then they have to paint the Republicans as like this fictional enemy. Like everybody's secretly Hitler because they need a common cause, because they need power. And you get power by inflicting fear. And so when they're going after these things that are already commonly accepted by society, like everybody's like, yeah, Hitler is not ideal.
So they call everyone a Nazi.
Yeah, but they call everybody Nazis, and they're pretending that this already isn't the public.
So what do you do?
Position.
What do you do when you have hundreds of thousands of people who are indoctrinated, zealous, and I'm referring, you know the picture of the woman whose eyes are bugging out and she's like,
Yeah.
like that kind of person, or there's that really funny video with the white woman screaming at the black cop.
Mm-hmm.
and she's holding up a sign on the back that says "fragile" on it.
Yeah.
Because it was just like a box, and on the front it says Black Lives Matter or whatever. And then some guy's like, excuse me, ma'am, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to be screaming at this black woman this way? And she's like, I'm the only one who can stop the racism, and she's part of the system. What do you do when those people are running around screaming their zealous cause, have plugged their ears, don't know, don't care, just want you to suffer because you are the other?
I appeal to their entertainment bug, so like write music and acting and stuff like that.
But they're banning people who do that.
Well, I mean, you can musicians aren't really banned.
What do you mean?
The only way to get through
Lady
those people,
Lady Antebellum had to change their name,
Yeah.
and then they stole the name from an actual black blues singer.
There's always exceptions, but I think music is probably the best way to get through to those people.
So you think like writing a song, telling them their ideology is bad, they would go along with it?
No, writing a song about love and how it's good.
But they say those exact same things, dude. It's like I defer to Daryl Davis when he tried to talk to them and they called him a Nazi. Here's a guy who said he could talk to, Klansmen and they'd listen. And when he went to the Antifa guys, they screamed at him and called him a Nazi.
One time.
Yeah, the one time he tried.
It happened once. I mean,
and it was a group of people
happen.
standing outside, and here a black man walks up and says, hey, and they're like, get out of here, you white supremacist. And he was like, what?
But the way he got through to those white supremacists was through his jazz music.
Well, it was through talking to them.
Yeah.
He went to their rallies.
And they'd come to his shows, and they'd see him play, and they'd be like, I've never seen a black guy play music like that.
I mean,
that's how he got through to the first guys.
What he said was that it was when they became friends with him and just talked to him, they realized the stereotypes they heard weren't true. So what do you do when you have a group of people who are trained specifically by the organizers to start chanting the moment you try talking? You walk up to them, they'll start mindlessly chanting, Black Lives Matter, or mic check, so that no one can speak. They just shut it down. I remember when I was in, where was this? It was in California. It was just outside of LA. And there was a Trump rally and then like an Antifa rally. I walked across the street to the Antifa rally, and I was like, hey, how's it going, you guys? Anybody you want to talk to me? And then all of a sudden, an organizer ran up and started chanting. And then they all started chanting, just like chanting to each other. And I'm like, I can wait. And they kept going. And then she went, mic check. They all yell, mic check back. And she goes, do not talk to anyone. They are tricking you. They are trying to make you fascist. And I'm like, okay, I'm going
to
walk away. I walk over to the Trump guys. I'm like, anybody want to talk on camera? And they're like, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
The left did that to me real bad at the DNC, and then again on Inauguration Day. They like surrounded me and started chanting "F you, Cassandra Fairbanks."
Wow, take personalized.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I was just trying to walk to the White House, but okay.
It's a cult.
Yeah,
and it's growing, and the Democrats support it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, Trump banning critical race theory and then expanding his ban. I'm like, good. Dude, it's funny, religion it's like faith plus ideology. And so we say we want a separation of church and state. And most people are willing to accept that. Even many religious people will accept that. But what about the straight up ideology and the non-theistic, religious practices of the woke?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I think that there's been like a really steady decline in religion, like in general in the US. And I think that people are replacing it because they need something to believe in and to be part of. And they've been replacing it with politics instead of replacing it with things like family or relationships. And I think that it's kind of a dangerous spot.
What happens to all these people because they're not having kids? They're all on birth control. They're all pro-abortion. I was reading something that was really interesting. There's two stories. One of them said that in the late 90s, early 2000s, conservative families were having an average 2.01 kids per family, and liberals were having 1.73 or something like that. And then I think about the Pew research today that says Generation Z is slightly more conservative than millennials, but very similar. And I don't think it's because, Gen Z is just becoming conservative. It's because there's more of them. Because, 20 years ago, liberals weren't having as many kids as conservatives. Then I read another study that said mathematically, liberals and like a colloquial liberalism, as we call it today, will cease to exist because they're substantially more likely to abort their own offspring and to encourage others of their tribe to do so and to accelerate the rate at which they do. So they looked, it was I read this a while ago, but it was looking at like the rate of acceptance of abortion and the limitations were rapidly and exponentially being reduced on the left. So like it started with abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. Then it became, well, women should have it if they choose, but only under certain circumstances. Now it's very rapidly become whatever the woman decides with her doctor is her business and no one else's at any point during pregnancy.
And they celebrate it.
And like exactly. So it's like
Samantha Bee and all that.
And Michelle Wolf is her name, right?
Morbid. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Conservatives have maintained pro-life, no abortion, except in rare, safe, legal, and rare for the most part. So I was reading and they said the basic mathematic equation then is religious conservative families who have more kids on average and do not encourage abortion and do not get abortions are more likely to increase their population in numbers, whereas liberals are more likely to either not have kids or actually abort their own kids or even encourage people they know to get abortions.
Makes sense.
In which case, in 20 or 30 years, you're going to have way more conservatives. And maybe that's why there's been this like the Gen Z shift, as I mentioned. They're fairly progressive, but they're slightly more conservative on some issues. I wonder if this is why now we're seeing this like domination of Republicans in politics. Apparently, I was reading that like Democrats dominated the House for decades until like 2000 or something like that, or whatever. I don't know, 94 maybe. I wonder if now, as we move forward, it's going to start shifting more and more towards moderate right wing because the left not having kids, aborting their kids. I'm not ascribing judgment on their morals. I'm saying quite literally it's a fact. They do this. Some suggest that because cultural institutions are dominated by leftist ideology, that the children of conservatives will start adopting these views. And you see this with like the TikTok kids claiming like my Trump supporting parents are so dumb, I'm moving out. And so there's that, But if they have 5 kids, how many of them become leftists and don't have families versus how many do? And then you end up with religion dominating the planet because they reproduce.
I'm afraid that this psychotic, Antifa thing is like a new religion, kind of like you were saying, this political religion that people. So I don't know if it's Christianity is the answer. I'm not a fan of like organized Christianity just because I don't like the money, like paying money to worship God doesn't make any sense to me. But maybe there'll be like a spiritual revolution that can bind the left and the right and the conservative and liberals to see like a unity. Like Nassim Haramein really has finished Einstein's field equation. He shows there's a unified field theory. It's all one type of matter, electromagnetism, more or less.
I wonder if what separates, and this is just my personal opinion, I know it's not academic, what separates a religion from a cult is whether or not you protect and create life versus whether or not you destroy and end life.
Yeah, I would think so. We're talking about reversing entropy. I mean, that's I think, because you said the natural tendency of life is entropy, No,
the natural tendency of life is...
Entropy? It's just to fall apart. Things fall apart.
Entropy, right. But life is organizing complex systems into further and more complex systems.
To prevent entropy, to make entropy happen slower.
But it creates more entropy as it goes.
That's a good point.
So it's an interesting phenomenon. But if you look at Antifa and Black Lives Matter, what do? They destroy and they end life.
Yeah.
And you look at conservatism, and I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm comparing it to having kids specifically because I know religion started war and and killed a lot of people. But you have these Amy Coney Barrett, big family, adopted a couple kids, had a bunch of kids of her own, and she's raising them with these values that is protecting and encouraging life. It may, as some of the left say, restrict some of their, choices and individuality or whatever if we have collective law and stuff like pro-life versus pro-choice. But the ultimate point is not about individual freedom. It's about whether or not you protect and create versus destroy and kill.
I'm interested in what was your history, like your religious background?
Well, I was baptized Catholic, but raised pretty non-religious. So once I moved to DC, I started going to church a little more. Beautiful churches there, but I'm not. I was not raised overly religious.
Like, Lydia, I guess you're a good example. You were raised intensely religious, but you've turned out very logical, kind of middle of the road.
Yeah, so I was raised really conservative Christian, and I kind of came away with the strong aspects of that and some kind of balance. Slightly, I like to think more moderate. I appreciate everything my family did for me, but I like to think that I'm a little more moderate. I'm not a bigot, obviously. They're not either. I'm not a zealot. I'm not like a hardline Christian.
And you had the
See
internet.
The value to faith.
Like, you were able to see the logic in the world, but you were raised with the morality.
I didn't use the internet to find logic at all. I was always kind of that way. I was always questioning and asking, finding out the truth for myself. So I don't know.
I mean, 30 years ago it would have been tough to be raised religious because you didn't have any outside way to learn anything other than what you were told by your parents. And now, you can just jump on the internet and like fact check all the crazy stuff that they say, but take the good stuff that they say because, Christianity really has a lot of good tenets.
I just wonder if we've lost something as a society with people like moving away from religion and moving towards finding communities online instead of communities in their local neighborhoods at church or mosques or whatever their faith is.
I would say absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Because local communities were built upon the collective need to survive. That was a society. Humans are social beings because we survive together. Now people go online and the most ridiculous fringe community has a lot of members.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you were in your neighborhood and you were part of, like, I don't know, like the Yu-Gi-Oh fan club, and there was no one who played, you'd eventually be like, I can't do this. Like, when I was little, I played drums, and I had no one to play music with. Nobody cared, so I eventually stopped. And then I met some people who were like, we don't need a drummer, we need a guitar player. And so I changed that thing about me to fit, what was needed by that group at the time, not playing drums. Now you have people who go online, and they find a group of crazy, fringe beliefs, and it encourages and emboldens. And then they adopt beliefs not based on collective survival, but based on just the fact that the organization exists.
I was listening to something interesting about this, and then we can go to super chats because I know we're getting late. But I was listening to somebody talking about how there's a community online that likes to watch people feed people food gain weight and become obese. And he was like, all you have to do now is go online. I know it's really weird because Sandra's making a really weirded out face at me. It's super weird, but you can go online and find people who like exactly the strange, weird, messed up, dare I say, judgily things that you like, and that's all you have, and that becomes your echo chamber, and you don't have to coincide with anyone else. You don't have to band together for survival because you got it all made, obviously, since your interest is like obesity. That's really weird. But you just go and you find people who like what you like, and you don't ever have to talk to anybody else. And I think that's hugely problematic.
Being in this house with you guys has been incredible for the last 8 months or whatever, because we're so different. We all have a similar, we want the honest, you want to be honest and learn, but like we're very different. So being surrounded by that non-echo chamber is very helpful to stay sane.
Ian and I argue a lot off camera. It's fantastic.
I love it.
It's fantastic. Because like we just had this argument right now. It's great. I'm glad we have these discussions. Different perspectives, and then we challenge each other. You don't get that when you join a hive and everyone agrees with the same thing. And that's the crazy thing about what's happening right now with whatever the right is that I can have an argument about pro-choice versus pro-life with someone like, Seamus of Freedom Tunes, who's very pro-life. And we're both just like, man, like I respect the dude. I don't know how to agree. Like there's like it's just like a thing. It doesn't exist in my brain, and we hit that impasse. And we have conversations about it. And then we find out where the line ends and we don't know how to move forward. And we're just like, well, and then we make jokes about other things and we move on. And I know that he'll go and vote how he wants. I'll go and vote how I want. And I think when you have sane, rational people, someone like Seamus or any other pro-lifer is probably very upset over, say, Roe v. Wade or a lot of these, like of Planned Parenthood, but they're not going around smashing buildings and starting fires. There were people who did, but we don't like those people. So I can have a conversation with someone who agrees. If we vote and move in a direction, then what you do is you fight for your ideas. You argue for your ideas. You don't burn everything to the ground because you don't get your way.
And the founding fathers notoriously argued like banshees. I mean, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were like best friends and not worst enemies, but how you would call it.
Oil and water.
Yeah. They died on the same day. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Literally.
I think John Adams.
July 4th.
John Adams too passed.
The same year, the same day.
John Adams passed this like anti-speech bill, the Sedition Act, and then Thomas Jefferson got in and got rid of it, and then released everybody.
Dude,
and
I love that.
Clearly
story
disagreed.
Of those guys.
Yeah. We got to do super chats. This is really important. Kyle says, remember that there's a Pokemon named Timpole that wears a beanie. Also, that face when no Lydia GF.
We were just talking about that Pokemon before.
That's
the
why
show.
I brought it up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So it's not wearing a beanie. He's wearing headphones. The Timpole Pokemon is wearing headphones. It's also blue and gray, and it's like.
Whoa. What year was that? Did that
Timpole?
Pokemon?
I don't know. But like I wear the gray beanie and it's got like blue and gray
What?
ear things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's weird.
Some subconscious.
All right, let's see. We got some more
Weird.
super chats. Archerable says, in STL Outer Burbs, seen 17 Biden signs, 2 across from my house, 4 Trump. It's worse on the Illinois side, 9 Biden on 1 block. Not worried for Missouri, but don't get complacent. I got to say, man, I'm not.
I've never seen a Biden sign.
We saw a Biden bumper sticker earlier today.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That would freak me out. It'd be like a horror story.
Kind of freaked me out. I was like,
Yeah.
hit him. No, I was like, hit the gas.
He's like, drive
honk
off.
the horn.
Don't say that. This is YouTube. You're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, don't say that.
I'm not entirely confident Trump's going to win. And I know a lot of people are like, Tim goes back and forth on this. The first thing I'll say is, if you watch my videos out of order, my opinions change. And they're like, wait a minute, I watched this video. Yeah, what was the date on it? But also right now, we've got all these smears coming out against Trump, like the October surprises. There's not going to be an October surprise. There's going to be like 50. It's going to be hilarious. The way I described it earlier is like there's going to be like an explosion in front of the White House. You know, we already saw fires. Then like a clown is going to break through the window, roll onto the field and start like dancing. And then like a helicopter is going to land and a bunch of command. Like, it's going to be the most ridiculous, nonsensical, comic event of October surprises. There's going to be deep fake videos. It's going to be ridiculous. Trump doing weird things. We're already seeing deep fakes all over the place.
Yeah.
Did you see the RT one?
No, which one?
Oh, RT made a deep fake of Trump accepting a job at RT after he loses the election. And it is like, somebody described it as God tier trolling. And I was like, yeah, that you nailed it. It was so good. Highly recommend looking for it. It's hilarious.
All right, we got another one here from Alama Dorius. He says, Tim, I get your complaints about Canucks talking about the U.S. election, but remember, we are next to the sleeping elephant, and more often than not, we get dragged into whatever the U.S. does. So we have a legit concern with who is running your country. No, I get it for sure. And it's true for a lot of other countries too, man. You know, the U.S. is dominant in a lot of ways. Chet Chisholm says, Cassandra, I hope your daughter is doing okay. That's not something any kid should ever experience. You both may find flotation therapy beneficial to unwind and may even help with your insomnia.
Flotation therapy seems cool. I've looked it up. I saw a Groupon for it once, and I was looking into it. But
Joe Rogan has sleep sensory deprivation tanks.
nice.
I should get one, put it in the
Yeah.
basement.
Do it.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
come
going
over all the
into
time.
it. I'm looking into it.
I've never done it. My friends have done it. It's supposedly like
I've
really
heard
fun.
really good things. Yeah,
You
it's
just
just
float
like really
darkness.
thick salt water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just lay in it and you can't see anything or hear anything.
that's
That'd
so
freak me out.
I think I would like it.
I don't know.
I'm kind of a weirdo.
I would have like a sensory withdrawal. I'd be
Yes.
like, ah.
Yes.
They say that when you're not experiencing any sensual sensory, you know,
Sensual's the
Yeah.
word.
Sensual.
Sensory.
Oddly
when
enough.
you're having sensory deprivation, that your mind fills the gaps and you'll hallucinate and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, it would be crazy.
Yes.
I got to give it a shot. Keckman says, I like how Ian plays devil's advocate, even though I disagree sometimes, but it's good for podcast discussion. Well, that's exactly it. You know, like if we're going to argue about something, there has to be some kind of challenge. We can't just sit here going, I agree with you agreeing.
I tend to think like that too. Like if someone makes a statement, I'll think of, even if it's like a 1 or 2% chance that maybe there's a different way, my mind just goes there. So I bring it up. And I almost always have my whole life, and it's made for good conversation.
And it doesn't reach the absurd levels of you saying 2 + 2 is 5.
Yeah, because I'm not obsessed with being right. It's just interesting to look at it from a different perspective.
Here's a good one. David said, I bet you $1 that cop is still armed. Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
They say, we're taking your gun.
I
he
mean-
probably went, sure. And then
Or
someone
his
gave
wife
him a
has
gun.
a gun,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right,
Which
exactly,
one?
exactly. Let's see. Godless Monkey says, should the people involved in ballot harvesting have their citizenship revoked if they're immigrants? No. I think once you have citizenship, you have citizenship. If you have a permanent residency and you commit these crimes or whatever, that's a different story. You're not a
I'm
citizen.
fine with revoking citizenship.
I think
I'm
it's-
like, bye.
I think it's I'm not a fan. I think a citizen is a citizen.
But-
if you cross that line, then we have to make sure we don't come to the point where we're like, you're not a citizen anymore, and you know, I don't like the government
At
doing that.
what point though? Like, if somebody's been here for a week and they're already like
No,
trying
if they're
to
a citizen.
defraud the election, yeah, but you know, if they've been a citizen for how long? Like, if somebody's been a citizen for 10 years, it's a little different than if somebody's been here for 2 weeks.
To become a citizen takes a really long time. You're not
Yeah.
just going to show up one day and be a citizen. You're going to be here for like, if you're getting married, it could take 4 or 5 years. And so then if you gain your citizenship, you've crossed all those hurdles and then commit a crime, you go to prison. Congratulations. If you're a permanent resident, you're not a citizen, we can send you back home. That's the craziest thing that anyone would like. If we have a criminal here, why are we paying the prison bill? They complain about our overpopulated prisons, but then argue that illegal immigrants should go into our overpopulated prisons. Just send them home. They won't go to prison.
Yeah.
They'll just be home. And then we won't got to pay that bill, and they can be in home. I don't know why we're paying.
Are they
for
afraid
it.
because they'll come back? So they want to put them in a prison so they can't come
No,
back?
it's because deportation is wrong to the activists.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so they're like, put them in prison. It's better. It's like, why are we paying the bill for overcrowded prisons? We want prison reform, not more people in prisons, man.
Yeah. Private
know?
prisons are crazy.
Let's see. Hydro PX says Trump has been saying it for 3 years. It's called a witch hunt, similar to the Salem witch trials. The episode is one of the colonial America's most notorious cases of mass hysteria. Interesting. Let's see. Matthew Bird says, please check the mic volumes. Only Tim's is at optimal level. Yeah, we've got to do, that's definitely true. We've got to do a volume
I think
check.
after that, I was tweaking them a little bit, and I still have a hard time getting the sound just right. It's going to take me
I got to
some
bring
time
my
to really
treble up
know
because
sound
Tim's
thing.
voice is like higher than mine. I sound like a
No,
sloth. But I got to either talk like this
Yeah, that's good.
or
You gotta
just
talk
talk
like
like
this.
this and turn the treble up.
My name is Ian.
Like, I could go like this, but it just
Yeah,
takes a
come
lot
on,
of
you can do
energy.
it. You can
You
do
should
it.
talk like this. I gotta go like that. They're coming for your income tax. JC Xmas says, I'm 55 and a veteran. We just started another party and call it the Common Sense Party, i.e. Thomas Paine. I nominate you, Tim. I don't want to be involved in any political party.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's like I just turn the camera on and talk about my feelings. Like
Why
I read the news, then I try and figure out what's true and what isn't, and then I talk about how I feel about it.
Like, do we even need political parties anymore?
I'd be fine with getting rid of them.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it's
think-
a free speech issue though. You're allowed to. They're definitely a problem in my opinion because they're private organizations that dictate debates and stuff like that, and then they play dirty games. But it's a free speech issue, man.
You could have the most well-meaning party anyway, and it would get corrupted in a decade because the only people who want to be politicians, for the most part, are narcissists who want power and want to control other people. There are, exceptions like Rand Paul, Ron Paul, Massey, people like that. But for the most part, the people who try to get into positions of power, even in movements, even, not necessarily political parties, the people who want that power and to seek to lead are generally narcissists, in my opinion.
This is kind of crazy. Someone said 911 is out nationwide. Just tuned in now and didn't know if you knew. This was as of roughly 45 minutes ago. You want to Google that real quick? See
Really?
Oh, wait. I guess we can't right now. Yeah, someone super chatted that. I don't know. I will also mention that behind Cassandra is one of the displays, and I can see the chat, but you can't make out what people are saying.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid that, but here we are. So
You can't read what anyone is
I know,
saying.
but it's distracting. I want the focus to be on Cassandra.
Oh, I know, but it's funny because now people, if you're in the chat, you're gonna appear. Guess your chats. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, nice.
Okay, where we go? Yeah, 911 systems are down.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Wow.
Purge.
Defund the police. Unintended consequences.
It's good to be armed.
Yes, arm yourself.
Great,
Dude,
to
I
be armed.
finally, for the first time, got to go around because we have this massive property. And this is the craziest thing. There's like sniper perches all around where we are because the hunters.
Yeah.
And we're literally surrounded on every side
They're,
by like hunter property.
camouflaged.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
And so I was actually worried going out there because I don't know what the rules are. Like, what are you supposed to wear when people are hunting and
Orange.
they're hiding? And I'm not. I'm wearing brown. And I'm like, I'm going to go back. It's even...
Time to get an orange beanie.
But like, I'm on my property and I can see the tower and like people hiding. And I'm like, I'm going to go back just in case. Because I got to read to make sure I'm doing everything right.
Yeah, I'm really close to like some ranges and some deer hunting areas. And you can hear it constantly.
Yeah, there's constantly gunshots out here. I was warned to be careful.
It's very different though than like urban gunshots.
Right. I heard gunshots going off, and I asked one of the locals, and they're like, "Nah, probably target practice or hunting or something."
Yeah.
And they're literally like, I was actually warned that you can see where the property lines are if you go into the woods, that you might get shot.
Good to know.
For a lot of reasons, because the people are hunting, and you're not supposed to be there. You're trespassing if you go onto this private property.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was like, gotta make sure. And apparently there are cameras set up everywhere. This is a crazy thing. I didn't know people did this.
Yeah, to track the animals.
Yeah. There are cameras everywhere.
My neighborhood, all the people have the trackers up because we have bears.
Whoa.
And so they've been posting all the cool bear photos of bear. Like,
There have been
just
deer running
capturing.
around. I
So
see them like eating
cool.
grass out
Yeah.
here and stuff.
I
We
love
have
it.
2 bears, and there's one photo that one of my neighbors posted, and it looks like the bears high-fiving. My
Oh my
neighbor was like, I
gosh.
think the bears are doing drug deals in my backyard.
I love it.
'Cause we have like a neighborhood thing.
That's
Oh,
so
nice.
neat. I need
Posted.
to join this. Sleep on it.
Like such
All right,
a,
we got
cool.
we got another
bear stuff.
We got
Bear
another one.
spray.
Brock says, Tim, I personally feel we have a society problem, not a police problem, because just like our military, the police force is a volunteer force. Thus, everyone wants to be there for a reason. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see. The other white nerd says, Tim, you mentioned with Seamus that you were pro-choice as you can't get past telling women what to do with their body. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Have you heard of evictionism? The belief that women have the right to evict but not kill the fetus. I understand that. My issue is providing your body to someone, not telling someone what they can't do. Like literally the government being like, I would like your blood, please, because someone needs it to live. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
noticed
that's where my
when we were having that debate about abortion, a lot of people were talking about like incubation, like being able to gestate the baby outside the womb. Like if that technology, I think, is really good now, and people kept typing it in
well,
the
that's
chat.
that's the crazy thing about no restriction abortion, where you might have a viable fetus and they're like, no questions asked, kill it. Like that's kind of crazy to me. Like if it could live, then you're like you could take it out and it would live. Then you're choosing to kill it. You know what I mean? So it gets really interesting as we get to the point that's why I say I'm pro-choice, but like Tulsi, there's like serious restrictions on when and how long and stuff like that. But then it gets interesting with technology. If you can incubate a baby in a plastic bag like they did those sheep or whatever, those lambs, then at what point is it like, well, if it can live, you know, it becomes really, really crazy. I don't know it. Because then at a certain point, it's like, if it can live, then you are choosing to kill it. If the technology existed. Hydro says, Tim, have you ever thought about taking boxing lessons? No, I've taken Kung Fu lessons, though. I actually have. Quite a bit. It was fun. Learn how to fight with those sticks.
Oh,
Yeah.
what are they called? The boken?
I think they're called Boken, yeah. And I had a guy train me on that stuff. It's been a while, though. Let's see where we at. Talbot Link says, Gamergate name came from Game Journos, applied to a certain angry group. An indie game maker, I'll just say it, filleted 5 game journos for good reviews and the story got out. Gamergate is the people that got mad at that. It grew from there. Interesting. All right, we'll jump down to some of these super chats. Where are we at? Jeremy Rainman says, Tim, universal mail-in voting in California is not mail-in voting. It's much worse. It's online voting. They're mailing barcodes and people use barcodes to vote online. It's a complete disaster or will be. What? That means people in Russia could literally just do it.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. This is going to be nuts. You know what I think's going to happen? I think Trump's going to win and they're going to be like, he cheated. And the polls prove it. There's no way he could have won. And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. You know, whatever. Let's see. Joseph Henson says, can we talk about the Comey rule and the various interviews surrounding it? What's the Comey rule?
I think that was that Showtime.
Oh, that movie was, I saw clips from it.
docudrama
It's
or whatever.
hilarious.
I didn't
Oh,
watch
I
it.
thought it was a parody. I thought it was satirical when they saw the trailer for it. Apparently it was real.
Yeah.
What is it?
Wait,
That
what
was
is this?
bad.
Alyssa Milano didn't pay her taxes?
Oh,
Is that true?
So much to Google, you guys. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. Royal Raptor says, Tim, I'm now imagining you with a flamethrower burning your way through the fake news thick jungle. Keep burning it, Beanie Man. Well, I'll try.
we got a couple of leaf blowers. They're like super high powered. Tim's gonna put them behind himself and shoot them backwards up the driveway on his skateboard.
It's a hill. So there's another thing. We're elevated, and so it's like every time you walk down, it's like walking a block just to get the mail, and then probably more than that. And then getting back up is you're climbing back up. So I'm just like, what if I take 2 leaf blowers? They're like really high powered and heavy, and just stand on my skateboard and just like Iron Man my way up, like.
Flamethrowers next. That was what
Yeah,
made me
yeah,
think
yeah.
of. Propulsion.
I think I'm gonna give it a shot. See if I can pull it
Yeah, we
off.
should
And then I was
record
thinking
it.
of getting 4 of them and just connecting the buttons and then having 4, and then you'd be going fast.
That's
You could probably
awesome.
go like 30 or 40 miles an hour with those things on full blast.
Wow.
I wonder how many you would need to fly, because they have weight themselves. They don't displace their own weight,
Right.
so you probably wouldn't work.
Right.
But moving, they can make you move, but not elevate. Jonathan Lauren says, stream the debate. Crowder does it. You just have to make sure you speak over most of it. Can't let more than a minute go without talking over it for Fair Use Act. Not sure about exact time. I think you would have a good time with it. I'll be here. We could. Yeah.
You know, he got pulled for streaming Biden. I'd rather have it on and just
Timer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll set a timer with the debate, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard. So as soon as the debate starts, we press go on the timer.
Yeah,
Is that what we do?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try. And then we'll sit here and make fun of the debate, and then you can just play it along with it. I don't know if that's going to work.
I don't know.
Like
how
the
that would
fight
work.
companion, the fights have a clock that
But
they
the fights-
synchronize to. The debates don't have an actual clock.
I don't know if we can pull it off, to be honest. Like we've never set anything up like that, and I don't know if it would work. Otherwise, we're not going to do the show.
We'll never know
because
if we don't try.
You know, we should probably just have the debate on and just do the show, and then we'll talk about the debate, and it'll be like watch it or don't. I don't know.
Yeah, we could. If they pull it, they pull it. I mean, they pulled Crowder for having.
No,
that
we're
Biden
not going to
thing, remember?
stream the debate. I'm saying we'll have the debate on
Yeah,
the background.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
got a
then-
TV now we can look at.
We'll figure it out, but I'm kind of leaning towards we're probably not going to be able to do it. We'll probably just not be live tomorrow because I want to watch the debate and tweet about it. Jade Kemp says Biden has advanced Parkinson's disease, brings on dementia. Best treatment is medical marijuana and is needed for patient to function. This is why Trump wants a drug test. Stoner Joe is hotbox in the basement. Drug test Biden. Follow Jake Kemp on Twitter. I don't believe that's true.
Yeah, it's not the case.
I don't. Oh, someone said something about the Fed. Where did it go? Wait, hold on. There's Menace North says if they go after the Fed, I would go with them, but they are neo-Marxists using Black Lives Matter. Is that what you meant? To elect the same politicians or using social justice? Let's see. Nicholas Marquise says, I'm going to tell my kids this was the 2020 debates. This video.
Yes.
Oh, that was the part where we were arguing?
It was hot. I want to watch
Yeah,
it.
it's great.
Yeah. It was fun. Let's see. Seth G says, how much do you think social media plays a part in Black Lives Matter and woke culture in general? 100%. If it didn't exist, there would be no Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Adrian Curry says, Ian is too nice of a guy to understand the kind of indoctrinated evil. His argument comes from an inability to comprehend the kind of sociopathic mental break. Judge him not. He of pure heart.
Thank you. I know, like Charles Manson, for instance, I know he was just a broken psychopath, but there's still humanity in people. People are not one way or the other. This is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's how I live my life.
All right, let's see. Christopher Barth says, you all might want to take a hunting class. Not to go hunting, but to know the rules and information the hunters should know around you and what you can do to help make sure you don't get accidentally shot.
Great advice.
Yep. Michael Bell says, hey, Tim and friends, just wondering what your thoughts are when it comes to the use of psychedelics during therapy. I defer to doctors. If a doctor says go for it, I say, sure, whatever.
I've heard MDMA is fantastic for couples therapy.
And for PTSD.
Yeah, PTS.
Yeah.
My personal experience is yes, it's fantastic therapy.
Yeah, agreed.
Here's this dude says, watched CancelCon after Cassandra mentioned it. None of them have ever been canceled. Very cringed. All the questions were from pre-approved student groups. Could the Fuentes TPUSA thing be the reason?
Probably.
I don't know. What is that thing? Oh, where they went to war with each other?
The Groiper War.
Oh.
Well, Ben Shapiro holding something called, sorry, my chair is squeaking, called CancelCon, while also calling for people to be canceled and being extremely selective on who's allowed to ask questions, who's allowed to engage. It's a bit hypocritical. I don't know.
I think
It was boring.
to act like the right doesn't have their, anti-free speech, people. I'm not specifically saying this about Ben Shapiro or anything like that, but I think it's more about tendencies. The left tends to do these illiberal things substantially more often than the right does, but the right still has,
But yeah, but the thing
I don't want
is,
to say grifter, but
the right will hold events being like, we're anti-cancel culture, and then
cancel culture.
Yeah, and they do it a lot.
Sure.
I mean, even with Covington, for example, there were a ton of mainstream conservatives who immediately jumped on the bandwagon that he did something wrong.
Oh, for sure.
And
but
they
there's
were ready to throw him to the wolves because they're like, eat me last. But the window
Right.
is going to keep getting smaller, so you feed him Nick Fuentes.
But
Next, they're going to come for Malkin. You feed him Malkin. Next, they're going to come for Matt Walsh. And it's just going to keep
totally.
getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I hope they enjoy being eaten
this
last.
is the problem of when you're loyal to people who aren't loyal back, and when you're playing by the rules and everyone else is cheating.
Yeah,
So you're like, okay, you're right, that was wrong, we'll change, and they go good, and then they don't,
right.
and the media won't talk about it. So they weaponize it against you. You give in, and they keep doing it until you're no more.
Right.
That's why it's really annoying when I talk to conservatives and they're like, I don't think we should regulate Facebook or Twitter or these big businesses. And I'm like, that's fine by me. I'm a liberal. So your ideals will be gone in a couple of years because you think it's okay that they're erasing what you believe.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. I'm not going to argue. Fine, whatever. It's the funniest thing. They're like, on my Wikipedia page, it says something like Tim Pool agrees with conservatives about social media, censoring them or whatever. And I'm like, it's always been a liberal position to regulate big businesses that are infringing upon the commons.
Right.
How have I changed my political alignment by saying we should regulate big companies that are ruining the commons? I worked for a nonprofit where we fundraised on the Clean Water Restoration Act and like protecting open air and like the environment because I think big corporations that destroy the commons should be regulated. Same thing with social media. But that's a right-wing thing now.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, man.
I think of it as very centrist. It's our most constitutional duty to make sure that no business co-opts the American government.
I mean, sure. It's not necessarily what I'm saying, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that they're wrong when they call you a right-wing or conservative trying to regulate big tech. I mean, that's an obvious American thing to do.
Well, liberals were always for regulation. Conservatives were for like more deregulation. It's not absolute. Like conservatives only want deregulation. That liberals only want regulation, but it was a tendency. So all of a sudden, I'm like, I think we should not allow companies to be dumping their waste into, like, say, like the Ohio River, or was it the Cuyahoga or something?
Yeah, that's where I'm
Or
from,
like-
Cuyahoga Falls.
Isn't
it,
that where,
it
like-
caught on fire in the 50s?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we better like pass a law because our water is on fire.
Yeah, my dad saw it catch on fire.
That's crazy,
It was
right?
like two blocks away
So-
from his house.
When our water is on fire, maybe we need to make, and I guess the problem was there wasn't one company just like dumping, tons of waste. It was all the companies doing a little bit.
The Akron rubber boom. Akron was like the rubber capital of the world. They must have had so much industrial waste just pumping right into the Cuyahoga River.
But it was all these different companies adding to it. And so they kept saying, I only did a little bit.
Goodyear, yeah,
I only
Firestone.
added a little bit. It's not my fault. And they were like, okay, everybody, you got to slow down. So I'm like, that makes sense to me. We have that, same thing is true for Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and whatever. We have to have reasonable regulation.
And they think it's right wing because these companies happen to be left wing. So regulating
Because
left wing
only-
companies makes you right wing.
because left and right is just a tribal, association, I guess.
I would love
So
to go
if-
deep on 230 reform. I think we should have Bill down. I mentioned it to him once because he knows a lot about it.
That's so tough, man. That stuff.
Yeah, it's so important that we free the software code and not try and make laws about what they have to do, because that's my opinion.
Here we go. We got Kelly Prophet says, it's an amalgamation of things. I call it media anxiety disorder, MAD. Groupthink connected by modern media forms combined with gaslighting and illusionary truth effect, delegating thought to media. I think when you have people who can form their own collectives online very easily, you just end up with a whole bunch of weirdo fringe conspiracy networks. There's no unified truth. There's no shared reality anymore. Then you get like the likes of CNN saying that Fox News lives in an alternate reality. And then you get everyone else pointing out that Fox News doesn't even Google search how to pronounce names. So they should not be the ones making those claims.
Before social media, you had to actually go out in the world to find a cult to join. Now you can just go online.
Yeah, right? It's ruined cults.
It has. There's been studies about how there's fewer cults now because people can find communities online instead of having to join communes.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were just
Makes my
watching a
life
bunch
less
of 80s
interesting.
movies. We watched a bunch of, what did we watch? We watched Teen Wolf. Man, that movie was terrible.
So bad.
Oh, wow.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I don't know much about it because it was like made in 1985. But we're like watching it, and I'm like, I haven't seen it since like a little kid. I'm like, man, this movie's really bad.
It hurt.
But there was like a scene where the one dude like runs to his car and jumps in it, and they like drive off, and I just thought about that moment where they have no phones, they have no idea where anyone is, and everything they're going towards in terms of their decisions is the unknown. Mm-hmm. So like you get in your car and you're like, where should I go? Let's go to this place, and who knows what'll happen.
Yeah.
Now it's like you pull up Twitter and you're like, there's a fire on 4th Street,
boring.
there's a flood on 3rd Street, Antifa's on 7th Street, and Jim's at, Gino's Pizza on 12th Street. You just know. You know where you're going. You know why you're going there. You know what's there. You want to go to the store, looking for something to buy? You already know it's there. You go online, you're like, they got the thing I need, boom. You go walk there, it's there. There's no mystery anymore. Everything is just solved. It's boring. I think this is part of what contributes to people losing their minds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because before this, your time was occupied by discovery. I remember when I was a little kid and I'd be like, I wonder, I'd call my friend's house and they're like, he's not here. I guess I'm not hanging out with them today. And then you'd walk around to all the places trying to figure out where they were, wasting your whole day. Nothing.
It's like, that's the purpose. You have purpose that day.
Yeah.
To find the guy.
Yep. But now it's like, oh, there he is at the park. And you go there and then you're both sitting there like, this is boring.
And like, I would want to go get comic books. My purpose would be, but now they're all online.
And you go there like, I wonder what comics they have. And you're like going through and you don't know. And then you go to the guy and you're like, when's Spider-Man getting in?
I made all my friends at the record store. I used to go hang out at the record store like every day, even if I had no money. Like 8th grade, 7th grade, go sit at the record store, be like, hey, what do you got in today? And then you meet other people there, and then you end up going to the coffee shop to see a band that you heard about at the record store. There's none of that now.
You can't go to the
on
Spotify.
YouTube and listen to Spotify.
And you go in the comments, and then everyone in the comments is complaining about some fringe political issue, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Or you know what I love? Go to any song, like an older song, and the comments are all, who's here from, insert year. And it's like,
dude, I've got a video called, what is it? October 11th, 2007. It's just a video I made on that day. I just named it that date. And now I've got kids, well, they're 13 now, making comments. This is the day I was born. This is the day I was born. I searched the day I was born on YouTube, and this video comes up. And they're all 13, apparently. All these people.
When's the video from?
2007, like
wow.
October 11, 2007, something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's weird. I think about how weird it is that there are like people who hit me up who are older, 50s or 60s. And I'm like, man, this person was like having a family and a job and I didn't even exist. And now they're watching my show. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like timeless. It's like the
humans just keep emerging and then existing and then like they're people. Isn't that crazy?
The purpose is changed. It's very different. We have so much more power now. So like back in the day, the purpose was to find a cell phone or a telephone to call my mom by 6:30 and then to be home by 8. And now like with the purpose is you can do anything. You can learn quantum mechanics when you're 7 because you have all the data in front of you.
It's too much.
Yeah, people's brains are exploding. I remember when I was little, I'd be like, how old was I? Like 9 or 10. My mom would be like, come back when the streetlights come on. And then I would just leave. And my mom would have no idea where I was. And then I would come back after like, a few minutes after the lights were turned on. I remember my parents would always be like, for every minute you're out past curfew, you're grounded for a day.
Brutal.
And so I remember like I was 4 miles from my house at the comic shop playing Pokemon. And I was looking at the clock, like I had my rollerblades and I knew exactly how long it took me to rollerblade full speed home. And I would like time it. I'm like, I don't want to leave yet. It takes me 13 minutes. And then as soon as it hit like, 47, I'd be like, time to go. And I'd just like jump out the door and then go full speed, make it home, and I'd be okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. See, those are the days you just didn't know. Your parents didn't know and you had these rules. Now it's like the kids are chipped basically, like almost literally. Aren't they chipping kids now?
You can put they have like backpacks that have chips in them that you can track.
They have backpacks with bulletproof
chips that you can
plates
put in
them.
their shoes.
And solar panels on them.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we are well past our normal time. We went long today. It was a fun conversation. We went a half an hour over, so I was like, we got to super chats. Yes. So thank you, everybody, for the super chats. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. We'll be back. We might be back tomorrow. I hate to do this to you guys, but we're going to try and see if we can do something with the debates. It might be too difficult. Whenever there's something like this, I want to actually watch it because, it's part of my job to actually watch and see what they're all saying. And it might be distracting and difficult if we're doing a show instead of actually just hanging out and watching it. So that seems likely that we might not be streaming. But anyway, we will have clips up tomorrow throughout the day from today's show. Make sure you subscribe, like button, notification bell, all of that stuff. The show is normally live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So we will be back most likely Wednesday. And I don't know, do you guys want to mention your socials or anything before we dip out?
Yes, I'm Cassandra Fairbanks. You can find me on Twitter. You can go
at Cassandra Rules.
Yes, at Cassandra Rules on Twitter.
Cassandra, you've changed.
I'm Ian Crossland, and I'm all over the network. You can find me on basically everywhere. What about you, Cassandra?
Yeah, you got me covered.
Cassandra Rules.
And of course, you can follow me on Twitter you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Timcast. I use Parler as mainly as like a backup. I don't really post to it all that often. And I got 2 other channels where I'm posting all throughout the day. YouTube.com/TimcastNews and /Timcast. The Timcast News, I put up a ton of segments, and we're going to have a bunch of segments on this one. And don't forget, you can also follow Lydia at Sour Patch Lids. Sour Patch LYDS. What was that hand sign you just did?
I'm going to jail now.
She's going to, that's it. She made the sign. Oh no. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll we're on Twitter. Talk to us, and we'll be back Wednesday, most likely, maybe tomorrow, but probably just Wednesday. And we'll see you all then.